What's going on, everybody? Thank you for joining us for LTMB Live. Let the Madness Begin. Broadcasting live on YouTube and Twitch. I don't believe Periscope Live. We got to fix that. But thank you for joining us. It is April 7th, 2020. We've had that 5-day break as the coronavirus spread continues globally. Of course, much of our program tonight is going to be about the coronavirus, that's 99% of the news right now. So hope everybody is well. And again, thank you for joining us. Anything you want to say, man? Get it going?
Man, I was talking to Will before the show, and I was telling him that when I went to the grocery store, I can tell more people are taking it serious. A couple weeks ago when I went to the grocery store, I didn't see very many people with masks on.
Okay, yeah.
But I went to the grocery store today, and probably 70% of the people that were in there have masks on.
Masked up now.
Masked up, like for real. Even in Walmart, I think that's where I saw, that's the most highest concentration of mask wearers.
At Walmart.
Yeah, man.
That's probably where the mass concentration of people are going right now. So, yeah, that makes sense.
But yeah, I will say people are taking it seriously. The number of cases are going up in each state.
Right.
Including our state.
That's right.
Go ahead, Will.
Yeah, it's going up. It's going up globally. If we compare, where we were last week to where we currently are right now, last week on Thursday, we had reached over 1 million coronavirus cases globally and over 50,000 deaths. Right now, globally, we are over 1.4 million coronavirus cases, and now there's over 80,000 deaths.
That's why Trump had to move the goalpost in regard to not just how serious it was, but how many people were going to die.
Right.
Because what did he say was a good number? What 200,000?
Did he?
Because the estimates were 1 million, or the projections based on, I guess, the typical progress a virus makes throughout a society, and the infection rate and death rate. The worst case scenario was 1 million. So Trump is estimating that this particular outbreak was only going to cause about 200,000 deaths. So he's taking
not
it
many.
as a victory.
Not many. Just 200,000.
But see, he has to do that now.
Yeah.
He has to move the goalposts. Because before it was like, oh, it's not that serious.
So just talking about the United States, last week there were over 235,000 cases with more than 5,600 deaths. And today that number has reached 303,000 cases with over 12,000 deaths. And this, of course, this keeps fluctuating. These were numbers that I recorded earlier in the day. So, of course, it's a little bit more now. Total cases in the United States is now up to over 387,000. And total deaths just under 12,300. So it's again, increasing rapidly. If you take a look at the graphs of how the cases are increasing, I don't believe I've seen a graph showing any country that is doing worse than the United States of America. That trajectory is still pointing very north, while other countries, you're starting to see some rounding off a little bit. Particular countries, you have seen it not completely flattened, but it looks like they're on their way to doing so. But with the United States, like I said, I don't believe there's any line pointing as up as the United States. So that's definitely alarming. Today, So today is the 7th, Tuesday. Now, a few days ago was voting day for 4 states. Now, Louisiana was one of those states, and we already know that the prior month in March, they had already delayed their primary, and they delayed it until, I believe, they postponed it till June, I believe. So the other states, Alaska, Hawaii, and Wyoming, were scheduled to have their primaries take place, primaries and caucuses. For the state of Wyoming has a caucus, but all three all three have postponed their in-person voting. So in Alaska, they canceled the in-person voting, extending mail-in ballots to April 10th. In Hawaii, they canceled the in-person voting, and then mail-in voting was extended to May 22nd. And then Wyoming, the caucus was canceled, and then mail-in voting is extended to April 17th. So, we kind of talked about it on the last show, saying that there's no way the DNC or the Democratic Party, there's no way they would be so irresponsible to suggest that people should vote given the current crisis that we're living in. So today there is one state that was set to begin voting in the Democratic primary, and that was the state of Wisconsin, and it went ahead as scheduled. So today, Wisconsiners, I don't know if do you say Wisconsiners, Wisconsinites? I don't know what the term is.
I don't know what the term is, but I don't know what the official term is, but both of those sound fine.
Yeah. Well, they went out to vote, and it seems like an incredibly irresponsible decision to make. Now, there was some effort to halt the proceedings. There was some effort to delay it until another time. And there was a late push by the current governor, who is the Democratic governor, Tony Evers. And he was late. I will say he was late to try to get it, stopped. But he did that. But then there was a counter effort from the Republican Party in the Wisconsin legislature and the Wisconsin Supreme Court, both of which are controlled by conservatives. And they overruled his decision to put voting on halt. So again, it's going on as scheduled. So I assume there will be some reports about numbers, who wins. I know Joe Biden is expected to win heavily. This is just one of many videos that were taken showing you exactly what's going on in Wisconsin. Now you can assume that there's probably going to be a lot of long lines because of the social distancing guidelines not being more than 6 feet, being at least 6 feet away from each other. And you see, people seem to be following those directives, but
that's still long.
Yeah,
even with the social distancing recommendations and them following those recommendations.
Yeah,
that still seems a bit long.
Right.
I'm not surprised though. I don't know what city that is.
No, yeah, I don't know.
I don't know where that video is being shot at, but I know in Milwaukee, the number of polling locations went down significantly because of shortage of workers.
Right.
Usually, the last time I checked, they shut down 100, or they had 180.
Yeah.
And
usually
it went down to 5.
Right.
I was like,
yeah. Milwaukee. Now that's in Milwaukee. Okay.
Now
there are hundreds of other polling locations that were shut down in the state as well. But in Milwaukee, usually you have 180 polling locations. It went down to a total of 5. Now Milwaukee, the city, has about just under 600,000 residents. 600,000 residents. Compare that to a city like Columbia, South Carolina, where we are, which we have about 130,000 residents.
Just in the city limits.
Okay. We have I think there's about over 50 different polling sites for the city of Columbia. If it was 5, it would be utter chaos. It would be utter chaos if it was 5 in a city of 130,000. Guess what videos you're seeing on social media pop up with a city of 600,000? Utter chaos. Long lines. So that is a travesty. Not only that, but again, the current crisis that we're in, you're risking the chance of more and more people getting infected, which is, it's just utterly stupid. It's a ridiculous decision. Now, there is some statistics that are being presented now. We have more statistics about who this virus is currently affecting. And in several states, we see that it's affecting Black people more so than others. The statistics are there. Like I said, in Louisiana, Black people represent about 32% of the population, but over 70% of the deaths there. And excuse me, in Michigan, black people about 14% of the population, but over 40% of deaths. In Wisconsin, 26% of the population, but over 80% of the coronavirus deaths. And again, there's some other states that you're seeing similar numbers as well. I mean, that kind of begs the question, especially in Wisconsin, where they didn't halt voting, and it was a conservative push to continue this voting along for the Democratic Party.
Okay, even though it was a conservative push, the DNC and Joe Biden were encouraging people to go vote. I mean, Joe Biden was, on his little live stream. I don't know if it was CNN, can't remember what network. But yeah, he was on there talking about how there should be no issue. So regardless of who's in power in the state of Wisconsin, and regardless of whether they did not grant an extension to these elections, it seems as if Joe Biden is on the same page with them. He didn't seem to be pushing for an extension. He just said, "Hey, go vote." There's nothing. He didn't see a problem with it.
Yeah, there's a recent interview that we have a clip of with him on ABC, or being interviewed by ABC's George Stephanopoulos, in which he does talk about potential voting in Wisconsin, and talking about how we should just follow the science. And also he's going to have a word or two about the Democratic convention that has already been pushed back to August, and what he sees as maybe an option going forward with that.
Wisconsin now having its primary on Tuesday. Your opponent, Senator Sanders, has said that should be put off, and the governor now joined that chorus as well. But it looks like it's going to happen. Is that wise?
Well, look, I think they should just follow the science. What I've been hearing, I've been following like you have, like everybody has, watching the court action. Is still in court now, but I think whatever the science says is what we should do.
And does that hold for the convention as well? Are you open to the idea that it just may not be possible to do the convention in August?
Well, we're going to have to do a convention, may have to do a virtual convention. I think we should be thinking about that right now. The idea of holding a convention is going to be necessary, but we may not be able to put 10, 20, 30,000 people in one place, and that's very possible. Again, let's see where it is. What we do between now and then is going to dictate a lot of that as well. But my point is that I think you just got to follow the science. Listen to the experts. Listen to the Faucis of the world. And if that's the case, it's the case. But we cannot let this, we've never allowed any crisis from the Civil War straight through to the pandemic of 17, all the way around 16. We have never let our democracy take second fiddle. We can both have a democracy and elections and at the same time correct the public health. But I think it's time we start thinking about how we're going to hold elections, whether we're going to have to spend a lot of time figuring whether we do, is it going to mostly be by mail, which is not the preferred route for everyone? How are we going to do that? How are we going to make it available to everybody? And I think that has to be underway.
I know you talked to Bernie.
Smart people thinking about now.
I'm confused. I'm real confused. He said we need to pay attention to the science.
Follow the science.
Follow the science. That's kind of vague. Science is not going to make a decision about whether primaries can be taking place. They're not going. Science doesn't make that decision. So science just gives us information. It's up to the parties to have discretion based on the science. The science is not going to say, "Hey, have primaries." Well, the science is not going to tell us that. The science is going to say, "Hey, this is where we're at right now." And It's going to be up to people like Joe Biden to, I guess, come up with a conclusion based on the science. I don't know. I mean, I hope that's what he means.
Well, the science will, again, like you said, it will provide information to us so that we can make the best informed decision. it seems as though where we currently are, with that line pointing straight up and how we have the most coronavirus cases in the whole world by far, it seems as though the science is pointing to us saying that we should probably delay voting. Because think about what Joe Biden is saying here. When it comes to the Democratic National Convention, he throws out the idea of a virtual conference because of safety risks, because he doesn't want more and more people getting infected. But when it comes to voting day, when it comes to the Democratic primary in Wisconsin, he doesn't go as far as to say that, no, it should be halted or we should do something different like mail-in ballots only. No, we should just follow the science. So that doesn't say that, no, they shouldn't go out there and vote in large numbers. It just says that I'm going to get off by saying we should just pay attention to the science. This is the same guy saying pay attention to the science, where his environmental plan, his plan for climate change, is a very conservative plan and doesn't really follow the science whatsoever. But here he is. Here he is saying it. So I guess it sounds good, so it must be true that he's really about that.
Well, when has it been pushed back to, the convention?
Well, right now it's August. I can't remember the exact date, but it was in July,
right.
But now 1 month later.
Okay, so if he's suggesting that there might be a cause for a virtual convention because he's paying attention to the science. Mm-hmm. He's projecting that we might still have some issues in regard to coronavirus spreading
in
and
August.
In August now, and again,
4 months away.
He didn't say as much, but if he's suggesting that there'll be a virtual convention, then he has some concerns, or he's saying he does. So if he still has concerns and the situation is better in August, right? Projecting up to that point. If he's saying that we should have a virtual convention at that point where people don't show up, why wouldn't he have the same kind of position now?
Right.
It doesn't make any sense.
Because this is in comparison to what Bernie Sanders said.
Yeah,
he said shut it down.
We're I don't think we're at the peak of it. We're still like going. We're still going
very early on.
So it's still very early on. It's getting worse. So you would have to have the same or an either more extreme position.
Right. You would be more concerned about
now, today
than 4 months from now.
4 months from now, when most likely it's going to level off. Well, hopefully.
But you can't. I mean, you can't be sure, and really. That's a very measured take. That's a very appropriate take. Like, well, I don't know if it's a good idea to pack tens of thousands of people into this arena or this place,
or more,
because you might risk the chance of exposure.
10,000. So it's not just that they're going to be packed into a place. They're going to be standing in line. Right. They're going to be socializing.
Sat next to one another, stuff like that. Yeah.
So there's going to be way more human interaction if you're talking about the amount of people who vote. Mm-hmm. Like, a convention, most of these venues hold 10,000, 12,000 people, and then also there's people outside.
Right.
But on a primary, you have way more than that voting. Yeah. So you have more people coming in contact. Mm-hmm. So I don't know.
To be a consistent position would have been the same that Bernie Sanders is taking right now. Which, look, and we understand that people are interested in what they perceive democracy to be, okay? They want to ensure that voting takes place. Okay, that's very level-headed. But it can be delayed. It's not necessary or mandated that voting takes place right now. I can't tell you what things are going to look like in 1 month. I can't tell you what things are going to look like in 2 months. But we can do that. We can postpone it just for right now. Now, if we get to the month of June and things are as they are right now, then, okay, maybe we have a different conversation. Maybe we just do mail-in ballots and that's it. But that would be the conversation for right now. It is not necessary to risk the further spreading of this virus. Just for what? Just for what exactly? It's not necessary. The general election is not until November.
And honestly, I don't agree with that that analysis as far as Joe Biden is giving us, the whole like making sure democracy takes place. To me, that actually makes no sense. And here's why. It doesn't mean anything if everybody can't participate in said democracy. Wouldn't you be adamant about that?
Yeah.
If you were so concerned about democracy, wouldn't you want there to be a
high turnout?
A high turnout?
Yeah,
You know,
enthusiasm.
wouldn't you want to try to prevent a situation that's preventing people from participating in the democracy? That's why it doesn't make sense to me. And he offered the same kind of comparisons. He said the Civil War. He kind of muttered something else, but the Civil War stuck out to me. But I'm like, that's kind of that's a choice. I would say that's a choice. Like, people make the choice to go to war. People make the choice to join the military. Whatever it is, that's more. You can control something like that. Yeah. This is different. This is a pandemic. This is something that spreads.
Yeah, I can.
That's not a good comparison.
I don't think there's a way to quantify how many people are turned off from voting right now, or turned off from even just leaving the house if it's not absolutely necessary. Yeah. So how many people are not going to get out there and vote today in the state of Wisconsin? Given what we're seeing to the lines, and how many people turned right back around and went home after seeing those lines? This is a bad situation all around.
I can't remember the dude's name. I don't follow him. I just see his tweets every now and then. Apparently he's in Wisconsin. He was talking to voters, and he said people were prepared to stay in line for about 5 hours. And I was like,
I don't know how you prepare for that.
But no, I was like, it might be longer than that.
Yeah.
It might be longer than that.
Yeah. I mean, 5 hours is really bad, but has been seen before. I mean, I think we've seen that during this
primary Texas.
Yeah, in Texas.
7 hours was.
Yeah. And there was another state as well that went through something like that. 4 hours, 4.5 hours. So you're talking about 6 feet apart. 5 polling locations in Milwaukee.
Has 26% black population, by the way.
Ridiculous, man. All right, so let's talk about a little bit of the response, the initial response to the coronavirus situation in the United States. So President Donald Trump and his administration has been criticized, very heavily, and I believe it's appropriate for that to take place, given all we know and how he really just swatted away any type of suggestion that it was going to be a serious issue in the United States. Well, he's had to amend his language a few times. He's still a little clumsy with it. No, I can't say a little. He's very clumsy with it. But he has uttered some things about how this was, unforeseen. Something like we couldn't have predicted that this was going to happen. And he's also given him and his administration an A+ for the response to that. Now, we know that there were guidelines put in place well before Donald Trump was even the president of the United States. And Donald Trump did not anybody could have just heeded to the directives and said, okay, this is what we're going to do because this is what we have decided is the best strategy. Not based on politicians' words, but we're talking about scientists. He didn't follow those guidelines. And when he did, and the guidelines that he did choose to follow, he followed them way too late, at least a month too late. Now there's some reports, and actually there was some directives by the Pentagon back in early 2017. So we're going to show you a few of these documents here. And what it is called, and this is unclassified, but it's the Pandemic Influenza and Infectious Disease Response. And again, this is from the Pentagon. So we're going to take you to one of these sections. And it talks about, the most likely and significant enemy is a novel respiratory disease, particularly a novel influenza disease. A little bit further down, it says an outbreak in a single community can quickly evolve into a multinational health crisis that causes millions to suffer, as well as spark major disruption to every facet of society. Going further, This states, an operationally significant disease has serious national security implications for the United States. These national security implications may include severe economic, political, and social consequences both domestically and internationally. There will be competing interests for resources globally. Competition for and scarcity of resources will include MCM, which is medical countermeasures, vaccines, antimicrobials, and antibody preparations, non-pharmaceutical MCM, e.g. ventilators, devices, personal protective equipment such as face masks and gloves, medical equipment, and logistical support. This will have a significant impact on the availability of global workforce. So it was coming from different directions. It seems like there was a plan. And again, this was outlining the threat. It was naming the threat. It was also providing suggestions of what we should probably respond with to minimize the damage that this will incur in this country and globally as well.
This is the Pentagon, who is very acute in identifying threats. Usually, it's in a very antagonistic way.
Yeah, the Department of War.
Yes, the Department of
Right.
War. They draw up plans and how they're going to destabilize countries years in advance. So we already know, this country is very good at planning things ahead of time. In this case, it has to do with a virus. So are we to believe that the Pentagon wouldn't plan for something like this?
It would probably it would probably
Pentagon
be in the
talking
country's
about.
best interest for the
Exactly.
Defense Department to kind of consider
Yeah,
the risk and the response to it.
Yeah, I can't guarantee where they're coming from here. I don't necessarily think. Don't get me wrong. Now, even though I'm saying, hey, they made plans for this, I'm not necessarily giving them like a round of applause here, because we all know what it's about. Because it's about America's stake in the world. It's about U.S. interest.
Dominance.
That's what it's about. It's not about saving lives. But still, the fact remains, there's no chance they would not have a plan for this.
So their
There's no
motivation
chance.
really doesn't
What'd you say?
concern us, right?
Yeah. But so we got to make that clear.
Right.
But when did you say that was? When did you say that?
That was very early 2017, January 2017.
January 2017.
That was when
That was when officially.
Yeah.
That was around the time Trump was officially sworn in.
right, inaugurated January 20th,
Okay.
2017. So right around that time, that same month, even the same month, this was a memo or just not a memo, but I guess it was classified at one point. I don't know.
Intelligence
Briefing, something like that. It definitely was long and instructive. Seems like there was a plan from different fronts. But this current administration seemed to lack information. They seem to lack information about how to deal with it, to even know how to respond to a crisis like this. I remember, and after reading this unclassified material now, and not just this, but we talked about, again, I think we talked about this last week or maybe the week before about how Trump just kind of disregarded guidelines about how to deal with a crisis like this.
Because he has the best people and he has the best mind. And
Yeah.
he figured he can deal with it his way.
But it reminded me of, and we talked about this before, this is something else, but it reminded me of Cynthia Clements from 2018. This was a woman that was going through a health crisis, had threatened to kill herself, threatened suicide, was, like I said, definitely going through something. And this was in the state of Illinois. I believe this was March 2018. And, she was in her car. Police came and, she led them on I guess they chased her because she was alone. Again, so it finally came to a halt when she lost 2 tires, I believe. She was in a car for about an hour. Police officers surrounded the vehicle. There were many police officers on the scene. They discussed how to bring this to an end peacefully.
For like an hour.
For an hour, at least an hour. Bring it to an end without any violence or harm coming to anybody.
So, and then also, what did they know about like what she had in the car?
Yeah,
because they were all up on the car.
Yes.
I mean, they were like,
yes.
yeah.
They were planning for an hour. They knew that she had like a steak knife, okay? And what she did have a steak knife, she also had, I believe, a screwdriver. So they had police dogs on the scene. They had rubber bullets. They had shields,
Yeah, they had
batons.
little shields.
They had tasers. Yeah. They all discussed, okay, if she gets close, we're going to do this. If she's not close, we're going to do this. But they were not trying to kill her. And the hour preceding that, they were trying to not kill her.
And they elaborated on, on this by themselves.
Yes.
There was video of this talking about how they were going to approach the situation.
Right.
So they were the ones on camera.
Yep.
Strategizing. This is not us, some sort of interpretation of, seeing what they were talking about from a distance. The camera was right there.
Right. Yeah, he had the body camera.
He had the body camera.
The lead that was on the scene, and actually the lead police officer that wound up killing her was Lieutenant Christian Jensen. And so again, this whole plan just evaporated into thin air when she emerged from the vehicle, because it was evident that she may have set something on fire. There was smoke in the vehicle. She came out of the vehicle.
Or a cigarette or something.
Yeah, and she had that, like a steak knife, and she had a screwdriver as well. She came out the vehicle, and within 1 second of her emerging from the vehicle, this Lieutenant Jensen fired at her with bullets, actual bullets, not even rubber bullets, not a taser, fired at her and killed her. So there went the well-discussed plan, and it just, like I said, just completely evaporated,
like
even though they talked
like
about
four
it.
or five, like 4 or 5 of them.
Yes.
And
they discussed what to do if she came close, all of this, and then none of that happened.
She was probably like a buck 15.
She was not big at all. Again, within a second, after discussing how to appropriately respond to this, they didn't go ahead with the plan. And that's another situation, not really connected to what we have right now with the coronavirus and the current administration's response. But again, there was a plan that was put in place before Trump was even here. And once we're dealing with this, once we're dealing with the possibility that this is going to really affect this country, you see the administration just saying, I know there's a plan in place, but
Yeah, they also knew there was a shortage of masks too.
Right.
There was a shortage of masks since the Obama administration. Most of those masks were depleted because of H1N1.
So I do recall Donald Trump talking about rebuilding the military, which, if we're being honest, never needed to be rebuilt in the first place. But he rebuilt it, right? He wanted to come in and rebuild the military. If we're dealing with a shortage of masks and equipment to respond to a crisis like this, a global pandemic, you probably should have rebuilt that aspect of government as well, right? You probably should have done something on that front. But no, it was important to rebuild the military and spend billions of dollars in arsenal and military planes that we never even used in the first place. That was more prudent. Also, with this administration, there's been a lot of talk about a specific drug. And this is an anti-malaria drug. So the drug I'm talking about is hydroxychloroquine. I believe that's how you say it.
No, you guys said it right.
Right, hydroxychloroquine. So again, there's been a lot made about this drug and about its possible uses in trying to deal with the COVID-19. Now, I have yet to hear a scientist say that this drug would actually work. It seems as though there is very anecdotal information that even presents that as a possibility that this would have any type of positive outcomes in dealing with this current virus. But nonetheless, there have been many, and that includes President Donald Trump, that have touted the efficacy of this drug in responding to this virus. So there's a clip we want to show you with, it was on Fox News with Dana Perino, and she was interviewing a doctor by the name of William Hasseltine. And they talked about this drug.
Sir, can you tell me your thoughts about this drug? Everybody wants to find a cure or a treatment or a therapy for coronavirus. What do you think about the drug that is used normally to treat malaria?
Well, thank you for the question, Dana. It's sad to me that people are promoting that drug. We know already from studies, at best, it will have a very mild effect, at very best. There are studies that conflict a little bit, one from the other. One concludes it has no effect. The other concludes it has a mild effect. The net result is, whatever effect it has, it will be very mild. That drug has been used for years against many other viruses to no effect. The thing that makes me sad about that story is some people may take it who are on other medications, who are other underlying conditions, and may have very serious, even life-threatening consequences. It is not something to take unless a doctor prescribes it.
And the government is not saying that a doctor could not prescribe it, but that should be something that is worked out between them. And what about and I know you don't go by anecdotal evidence, but there are stories of people saying that they've had this Lazarus effect by using this drug.
That is nonsense, complete and utter nonsense. And in any situation, there are always going to be people who promote one kind of quack cure or another, and there are Lazarus effects. In every epidemic I've ever looked at, it's always the case. Let me just repeat. We know that at very best, this drug will have a very mild effect on changing the course of the disease, if it has any effect at all. That is what the data has shown so far, and I am convinced that that's what further studies will show. And it's not without adverse consequence. It is irresponsible to promote this drug at this time.
He said it is not without adverse consequence. He also said that the possibilities of it having any impact, that impact would be very mild at best. This is a drug that is not new. This is a drug that has been used in the past to try to treat different flus, influenza, stuff like that, and has had very, very minimal impact. But we have people on Fox News specifically trying to tout this drug, trying to encourage people that this is like some type of wonder drug. Dr. Oz, who has his own show, I believe he still has his own show, he's been one that has been notable for trying to promote the efficacy of this drug. I believe he has been featured on Fox News maybe over 10 times now, talking about this wonder drug and the possibilities that it is somewhat like a cure for COVID-19. It's completely irresponsible, and like this doctor said, you don't know what kind of, I guess, interactions it might have with other drugs that you might be on, and you might make a worse situation for yourself just by taking it.
Trying to figure out who is in Trump's ear. Like, who is in Trump's ear getting him to push this, you know? Because either there's somebody in his ear getting him to push this particular type of treatment, or, we know Trump, he's a businessman. He benefits from it some kind of way, and from what I looked at, he doesn't have a really large personal stake in this as far as making money from the drug itself. Like, you know how they bundle investments? Mm-hmm. Sometimes, even as a small-time investor, if you're investing in some sort of stock, you kind of like, you're investing in like a group of stocks.
Right.
And he has a connection that way.
He does.
But it's I'm talking about like small, like $3,000 worth. And it's not like, it's just bundled within a lot of other investments. So he's definitely not, benefiting financially from this. So I don't know what it is. The only thing that comes to mind is maybe he's trying to keep up with Cuba, because they're already developing a vaccine for the coronavirus. So maybe he's trying to be the superhero here. Maybe he's trying to be the savior. He's trying to find something because, and maybe quite possibly he's driven by the fact that it's his fault. Now it's a fact for us. Not the coronavirus itself is his fault, but maybe he's feeling some type of way and feeling a little self-conscious about how he handled it. And you can see this during the press conferences where he's very combative and he cuts off any White House correspondents' questions. He gets very offended.
Very offended.
Just when they just repeat back to him things that he has said.
Or that his government has said.
Things that his government says. So Trump is a very transparently weak person, and you can tell. So he feels some type of way about how he responded to it, and he becomes more combative when people present himself to him. So I don't know, like maybe he's just trying to play savior here. Maybe and he doesn't. We have to consider that he doesn't even understand the foundations of science. He doesn't care. I think he would listen to anybody, and he would probably tell himself and believe seriously that, hey, this works. It probably doesn't take a lot to convince Trump.
Well, look, he does have that small, financial interest in a drug that is, like I guess a version of this drug.
Yeah,
I believe it's from a French drug maker. Sanofi, something like that.
Yeah.
I don't look it's to try to get in the mindset of Donald Trump and to try to arrive at what could be a possible motivation from him or for him. That's impossible to do. Even if this drug took off and became the cure, would he become even richer because of it? Probably not, given that he has a minimal interest in it. So I don't know if it's just that he was the one touting it. He was the president of the United States. Even if, it doesn't make him a fortune, he will have that to say, hey, I told you before it became a thing, I told you what was going to work. And it did, so I'm a genius. I'm
maybe
a mad
not
genius.
His monetary fortunes,
right?
But maybe his political fortunes.
It could possibly be.
Maybe he knows something we don't know,
right?
Because he does.
That'll probably help him on the campaign trail.
Yeah, he has access to information that we don't. He probably has access to information that a lot of people in Congress don't have access to. So I don't know, but Trump is easy to manipulate.
Yeah. Either way, it is very irresponsible to try to tout this drug.
So he's taking a big risk here. I guess it's one of those, it's a big risk, big reward.
Oh, huge risk.
Huge risk, huge reward situation.
Yeah. Some other things that Donald Trump is doing. So, as part of the recent stimulus package, I guess a board of watchdogs was created. And these watchdogs were meant to oversee, I guess, the response to the U.S.'s approach to the coronavirus crisis. So this is from HuffPost because, again, there's been some news in the administration, a decision by Donald Trump to fire one of these watchdogs. So the HuffPost says, the $2 trillion coronavirus response law passed last month set up a panel of 10 inspectors general to serve as watchdogs as the government tries to limit fraud, wrongdoing, and mismanagement. That panel, dubbed the Pandemic Response Accountability Committee, selected Glenn Fine, who was the acting Pentagon Inspector General and is a former Justice Department Inspector General, to lead them. But on Tuesday, Trump removed Fine from his job as acting Pentagon Inspector General, making him no longer eligible to lead the panel under the law. Trump named Sean O'Donnell, the Inspector General of the Environmental Protection Agency, to fill the acting role as the Pentagon as well. So there's been a lot of criticism thrown at President Trump for making this move. This wasn't Trump that selected these 10 these 10 watchdogs. And amongst them, they selected Fine to lead them. So he must be held in quite some high regard. It's just very interesting that the president, who we know has not had a very good response to dealing with this crisis, it's just very interesting for him to then fire the guy that is held with high regard, to fire that guy, especially when the conversation is about limiting fraud, increasing accountability. He fires that guy.
Why would you need to fire anyone if everything was going swell? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Why would he need to fire him if everything was going swell? Not just swell with how Trump dealt with the pandemic. Sorry. I meant to say that second. But things are going swell in regard to just the pandemic in general. Like it wasn't a big deal.
Right.
And things were going swell in regard to how Trump was handling the pandemic.
Right. A+. He gave himself an A+.
It just doesn't make any sense. So again, if Trump was, he dealt with it adequately, and there's nothing he did that was wrong, and he handled everything like a professional should handle it, then I don't understand why there needs to be a shakeup like this, especially the position that he had.
Right. You would, again, if it seems like a move like this is meant to head off something.
Head off something, because again, if you fire somebody, that means they're not doing their job.
He hasn't really had that much of an opportunity to do his job because, again, this new law just went into effect very recently. This group of 10 this group of 10 watchdogs was just recently put together. So it wasn't like you could say he wasn't doing his job. And again, what is his job to do? To hold people accountable and to limit fraud?
Limit fraud and corruption. Again, if you're firing someone, you're saying they're not doing their job.
So who did he let go? Who did he?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Give a free
his
pass. His
job is to limit fraud and corruption, and you fired him. That means he wasn't doing that. So who did he give a pass to?
I don't think he had an opportunity to do that yet. I wouldn't expect that he would have had that opportunity yet. He probably would be in the fact-finding stage right now.
But just knowing Trump, it's usually too late.
Yeah.
Usually the fact-finding stage is.
Yeah.
It's about 10 steps ahead of him.
Yeah, somebody's gonna sniff it. There's gonna be some win.
Because he's not very good at covering his tracks.
He moves too late. Moves way too late. Way too late, man. So I don't know. Again, he has received a lot of criticism because he made this move, and I don't know enough about the guy that he put in place of Fine to comment on who he is, maybe what allegiance he has to Trump or not. I don't know.
What kind of how you think he's going to perform at his job?
Right. I don't know, but it's very interesting to say the least. All right, so oh yeah. So we talked about this drug, the hydroxychloroquine. Now that's one area, or that's one product that people have been irresponsibly suggesting that we should use to help us deal with the virus, okay? We know that. Now, there are other options out there, I guess, to try to get rid of this virus in its entirety. So we have the very charismatic and famous
evangelical
televangelist.
Oh yeah.
Very passionate.
Yo, he's been in the game for a long time.
Yes. The one and only Kenneth Copeland. So Kenneth Copeland is not here trying to suggest that this anti-malaria drug is going to do what we need it to do to rid ourselves of this virus. No, he's not.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, it's a good thing that he's not doing that.
I'm glad.
I'm very glad.
Isn't this the same guy who the reporter tried to kind of surprise with the questions
Inside
about
Edition.
his jets and his mansions?
Right. And he was saying that, he couldn't fly commercially because of, like, demonic forces. Couldn't be... Because, see, if he's going to preach the gospel, he can't be around... You wouldn't want a preacher being around all of that evil.
I'm like, but you talk...
On the way
he's
to preach to people.
Everybody on the plane is evil. Okay.
He said that's not what he said, though.
Well, but that's what he said, though. All right.
But anyway, yes, that's the same guy. That's the same guy. So, again, on this video clip that you're about to see, you're not going to see him talking about this anti-malaria drug. But you will see him doing something just as, maybe more dangerous.
I wouldn't... It's more dangerous in a different way.
Yeah.
Because obviously if you're, taking a drug, if the drug is being taken in mass without people understanding the full ramifications and the consequences.
Yeah, that could be very, very dangerous.
That's fatal, physically.
Yes.
This is on another level, though, because it could lead to something else. It could lead to the same thing.
Well, yeah, this could...
It could lead to the same thing. It's just a different pathway to the same thing.
Well, it could... it could lead to death.
That's what I'm saying.
It could also lead to more death because people could foolishly believe that they are cured. But we'll let him do the talking.
COVID-19. COVID-19. I blow the wind of God. The wind of God on you. On you. You are destroyed forever. You are destroyed forever. And you'll never be back. And you'll never be back. Thank you, our God. Thank you, our God. Let it happen. Let it happen. Cause it to happen. Cause it to happen.
I've seen this dude look insane before, but
his everything about right here, his eyes just look weird.
Were you ready for that opening?
You mean that drop? I wasn't ready for that drop. COVID-19?
No. It's way more emphatic than
COVID-19. Oh yeah, see,
way more basic.
Yeah, I wasn't ready to put forth that much energy, but thank you, Will. I thought he was about to start bopping or something. Like it was the beginning of like a
smiling.
I thought it was gonna be like a hype session because the way he yelled, because that's what they do. He think he's yelling at whatever demonic forces that are in charge
the
of
evil
this,
in the air.
Yes, charge of the evil COVID-19.
So he's got to yell. to fight it, to defeat it, destroy it.
Now I thought he was gonna start bopping or dabbing or something. The man was hype. It might, you know what?
I'm surprised he didn't pass out.
It might have gone over well if he did that.
Yeah. You know what? It would have looked good if he passed out because it was such a struggle. It was a big fight. You know what I'm saying? He's over here defeating COVID-19, man.
No.
He had to pass out.
I don't know. Hey, yo, man. Hey, why you fronting on Copeland like that? Like he's obviously powerful enough. He's obviously he did
have his boys.
No, see he
did have his boys.
He did
have his boys. That's right.
He has the Christian posse with him, the Christian crew.
Yeah.
And so, but I mean, you can't you might be underestimating Copeland.
The force.
You might be underestimating the force because you know your boy got the armor of God on. He's got the armor of God.
When you got God behind you.
When you got God behind you, all you got to do is blow a virus away.
That's all you.
Because
guys.
The breath of Christ.
See, again, it's funny. It's funny, but
he's got a lot of people.
He's got a lot of followers. And if they believe this garbage, this complete nonsense, how many of them could potentially just get out in public, and say, hey, well, I've been cured. You know what you need to do? You need to listen to the word of Copeland because he has, he has the ear of God?
Yeah, God speaks through him.
God speaks through him, so he knows what's going on. He knows how to cure you.
Because people believe that every day in regard to all the other matters,
Yeah.
So why not this
The
one?
gospel will clear you, really. It
I'm
will free
surprised
you.
he didn't like start like doing like a fundraising, segment to that.
That's yeah. I'm a little bit surprised.
Sow your seed.
That's true. Yeah.
Sow your seed and reap
For
the
only
heal-
$10.
Yeah, for only $10.
Yeah. I
If
can
you
cure
go ahead and sow your seed now,
Yeah.
you will reap the health benefits later, and God will bless you. I'm surprised
I'll
he
send
didn't
you
go
this
into
little
that.
vial of water or something. That's somebody else.
Holy water.
Yeah.
That's
But
Jim.
yeah.
That's Jim Baker.
Yeah. This is dangerous though, man. This is really dangerous.
Like I saw people on Twitter, right, reacting to it, and they were like, you know what? I'm not religious at all, and I don't believe in demons, but I think demons have possessed this dude. People were like, I don't believe in demons, but I do now.
Look like it. I'm saying like
Oh,
that. The crazy, bug-eyed, and the smile on the face too.
He looks deranged.
Yeah, man. Be careful about that dude.
You know what? And the thing is, I think he believes it, man.
All right. Well, I you know what? I can't say because the money's good. The money's good. This mug is I think he's worth maybe close to $800 million. The money is good, so I don't know if he believes it. He believes in that money though.
Sometimes the money will make you believe it.
Yeah.
But he's a great actor if he does.
Oh yeah.
I just don't believe he's that great of an actor. I think he's convinced himself that all that's true. I think that's the key to raking in that dough, man. I think that's the key to religious grifting.
You gotta believe what you're selling.
You gotta believe what you're selling, because if you believe what you're selling, people will most likely believe what you're selling too.
Because they'll see that, I guess, that confidence and the confirmation.
And
of
there
what
are some
you're
people
selling.
who know what they're doing, they're actors, but I think there's some people who actually genuinely are bought into it and have convinced themselves that what they're talking about is for real.
All right. Some other news on the White House front. White House Press Secretary Stephanie Grisham is no longer going to be in that role.
Who? What? She's a what?
Stephanie Grisham,
Press
press secretary. Yes.
She-
Yeah, she's not going to be in that role any longer.
What? Did she ever have a press?
No, she was appointed, I believe it was July 1st of last year, and she will be leaving this position without having one press conference at all. One press briefing at all. Just one. She didn't even do one.
I mean, she made a few media appearances, yes.
But that was. I mean, those were television appearances. And we saw Sarah Huckabee doing the same thing. But no, a press briefing is something different, and she did not conduct even one. So who's going to be filling her place is Kayleigh McEnany, and Kayleigh McEnany is a former spokesperson for the Republican National Committee. She is also the current spokesperson for the Trump campaign. This will probably be a relatively easy transition for her, as she has had multiple appearances on corporate media platforms, being interviewed and lying for President Trump, sharing just buckets of misinformation every chance that she gets. So
it seems like a ramp up.
Yeah,
because we're
as a
getting
press
close.
secretary, that's what the job is.
Yeah, exactly. It seems like a ramp up leading up to the election. So we probably will get actual press conferences.
You may.
Because
You may.
whether Trump needs it or not, I think he's at the end of the day he's going to need somebody to speak for him on a regular basis. He already has a bunch of surrogates doing that, but he's going to need somebody who is the face.
And she has built her resume. I mean, her resume, if you see her resume, you see the multiple appearances that she has made lying for Trump, even when it is ridiculous, even when she is cornered. Like, you got her dead to rights.
Spin master. She's a spin master.
Spin master. She will lie and lie and lie. So this is the perfect position for her. I don't think the role of a press secretary is to lie for the president. You know, a press secretary is supposed to, I guess, communicate the agenda of the administration, maybe announce some breaking news sometimes, some decisions from this administration. Lying usually entails lying, as what we have seen throughout over the years. This is not the only administration where a press secretary has lied to the people. Right. But we have seen Trump's press secretaries do the absolute most.
But you said, her job is not to lie, but to report on the agenda. The problem is...
Well, not her. I'm just talking about the position itself.
The position.
The position itself is not really meant to okay, well, we have to lie to the people.
Oh, no doubt.
It entails that.
It entails... No, what I'm saying is, but you're talking about reporting on the administration's agenda.
Right.
But see, even that's going to be hard because you're going to receive questions about that agenda, which would then...
prompt you to lie. Yes. Of course. That's why she's the perfect individual for this position. Because she has a track record at doing this without flinching.
I think, this it's a smart move. Mm-hmm. It's a smart move by Trump's campaign because they understand they're going to need somebody to stand up, not to the press, but in the midst of the press.
Right.
Because Trump does that. He stands up to the press and he kind of belittles them. I don't think, I just don't see how long that can last. He's not good with the press. So he needs somebody.
He needs a buffer.
He needs a buffer.
Yeah, he does.
I think those in people in his campaign know that. And a woman is probably the best buffer.
True.
A woman is the best buffer.
So we'll see how that works out. But yeah, be prepared for maybe actual press debriefings, and
we'll see how good she does. We know how
will she be as good as Sarah
will she be
Sanders?
Good as Sarah? And so when we say good,
that doesn't mean that's not really positive. Yeah, that's how good is she going to be at selling these lies?
So
will she flinch?
It's like I think Sarah Huckabee Sanders was perfect for the job, but it's a hard job. Mm-hmm. I don't think anybody is prepared to do that job regardless of their background. Even this new chick. Mm-hmm. I think she has I guess the highest potential to continue being a spin master.
Yeah.
Successfully be a good spin, but you just never know what you're going to get from Trump, and you have to be so far ahead of him to where you have to be ahead of him in a way that's virtually impossible.
Right.
Because you just don't know.
Yeah.
He will contradict himself, not from
in
day
real
to day.
Time, yeah.
Yeah, he'll contradict himself in real time. So it's hard to catch up to him and spin Trump out of something. Because you're competing with.
I wonder how effective she's going to be. Again, I know she does have a track record at lying and doing so with ease. But I haven't heard her have the same attitude that Sarah Huckabee Sanders had. That aided her. Sarah Huckabee Sanders and that attitude, her not smiling, that helped her sell these lies. Because really what you saw from Sarah Huckabee Sanders is that she couldn't care less what you thought. She couldn't care less what facts you were spinning. I'm going to say what I want to say. I'm going to say with an attitude. I'm going to belittle you, whatever. And she kept it moving. With Kayleigh McEnany, she doesn't have that same type of flair. She tries to do it with a smile.
This is why Ainsley Earhart doesn't get as much shit as somebody like Laura Ingraham or Megyn Kelly. Mm-hmm. If you ever watch Megyn Kelly and Laura Ingraham, they just they start talking and you're like, oh, the abrasiveness to their bigotry is just so in your face. Mm-hmm. They have that snarling type of approach and demeanor and just very, I don't know, it's very, very arrogant. Ainsley Earhart, she has this very sweet.
Oh yeah, she does
voice.
Have that. She does.
So she gets a pass, even though she's just as ignorant.
Yeah.
She's just as bigoted. Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't come across.
It doesn't come across, so people give her a pass because she sounds so naive and
very
innocent.
naive.
If you listen to her, she sounds so naive and innocent. She has a very soft.
She doesn't sound like she's trying to be inflammatory.
I think she wrote a children's book too.
Well, that would be up her alley.
So she doesn't sound. She is not very inflammatory. You ain't gonna see her doing the little Heil Hitler thing like Laura Ingraham did. You won't see that. So she gets a pass. So I think that kind of it comes off differently, and
I just wonder how that's gonna work for McEnany. I don't know how it's gonna work, but
I think perception is important because if you go to, let's say, a pro-Trump type page or something, and there's a video uploaded about Ivanka or Kushner oh, they sound so smart. They say you should hear them talk about them. They sound so smart. They're articulate bigots and articulate crooks, so it comes off differently.
We'll see how it works. All right, so let's get to a little bit of Biden news, or maybe just some Biden commentary. We've talked about Tara Reid, and I believe that was last week we talked about Tara Reid. Tara Reid is the woman who worked in Biden's Senate office, and Tara Reid is the woman that recently came forward saying that she was sexually assaulted by Joe Biden in the early 90s. Now, the corporate news, meaning virtually every single corporate news outlet, has not really, and when I say not really, not at all, covered this. Now, Fox News, I believe, did for a very short period of time. I believe it was Jesse Waters on, I believe, Waters World. I'm not that familiar with Fox programming, but I believe that's a show. But I saw him discussing it with Huckabee, former Governor Mike Huckabee. And it was very short, but they did talk about it. When you're talking about CNN, MSNBC, ABC News, CBS News, Washington Post, New York Times, I don't believe they have covered it at all. But we did. Tara Reid did at least a few interviews to tell her story. And it's been interesting, the response. And you could tell that certain people, especially supporters of the Democratic Party and supporters of Joe Biden, have had a little bit of trouble with, I guess, accepting this knowledge.
Supporters of Me Too. Supporters of Me Too. Supporters of Me Too, Believe Her.
Right. Supporters
believe
of
women.
People that profess the message of believe women. Yes. These people that also support the Democratic Party and who they believe is going to be the Democratic nominee, Joe Biden, they're not really handling this news like they would if it was a conservative, like they did when it was about Brett Kavanaugh. There was no time for nuance when it was about Brett Kavanaugh. Even though you could say there was nuance, you could say that
it was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago. The detail there was no like hard evidence. It was really all circumstantial.
Ford's recollection wasn't clear, but obviously any
corroborating evidence.
Any reasonable person would understand that there's going to be issues because it was so long ago. You're just piecing things together. But yeah, like you said, that. They didn't take that into consideration. No. It was like, nah, like we've seen enough.
Yeah.
We've seen enough.
And they indicted Brett Kavanaugh for the bastard that he was, for the sexual predator that he was. There was no time for any kind of discussion of whether he could be innocent or not. No, they indicted him. So Joe Biden, they are not having a similar approach. And one particular individual, Alyssa Milano, the actor, who is very politically active as well, especially on social media. She is a noted supporter of Joe Biden. She has said that she has known him personally for many years, and she supports his 2020 candidacy. She, I believe, was present during the whole Kavanaugh affair. I believe she was even, seated there. You could see her. She had a very interesting take. I mean, again, she was one of the loudest critics of Brett Kavanaugh's confirmation process. One of the loudest people anywhere that was saying that he was guilty. He was a sexual predator. But again, now we have the Joe Biden situation, and she's not as critical whatsoever. So recently, she did an interview. So we have a short clip that we like to play for you.
Okay, good.
And there have been accusations against Joe about a sexual assault.
Right, and people were saying, "How can you do that?" Because you're.
I have not publicly said anything about this. If you remember, it kind of took me a long time to publicly say anything about Harvey as well, because I believe that even though we should believe women, and that is an important thing, and what that statement really means is, like, for so long the go-to has been not to believe them. So really we have to sort of societally change mindset to believing women, but that does not mean at the expense of not, giving men their due process and investigating situations.
I like that.
And giving, it's got to be fair in both directions.
Okay.
So, I've been very vocal about Biden and my support for him. I've known him for a long time, and I did do my due diligence because part of it was that, and the article that sort of stood out to me was that Time's Up decided not to take the case. And so,
that was important to you. That meant, well, maybe there's more to this story here.
Right. I did my work, and I spoke to Time's Up, and I just don't feel comfortable throwing away a decent man that I've known for 15 years.
Yep.
In this time of complete chaos without there being a thorough investigation.
Yep.
I'm sure that mainstream media would be jumping all over this.
Full of nuance. Suddenly, Alyssa Milano is full of nuance. Now, she had no nuance when it came to Brett Kavanaugh. None whatsoever. Immediately indicted him. No hard evidence, not a ton of corroborating evidence or anything like that, but completely on the side of Brett Kavanaugh is a monster. He's a sexual predator. Joe Biden, though, she says that we should believe women with a big but, though. She said not at the expense of giving men due process. None of that language was present during Brett Kavanaugh hearings whatsoever. She talks about Time's Up. She talks about Time's Up decision not to take the case, and she also said that she spoke to Time's Up.
She did her due diligence.
She did her due diligence. I guess she went on the fact-finding mission. She actually spoke to Time's Up. Now, if that was true, if she actually spoke to Time's Up, then she would have had some kind of, I guess, comments about how Time's Up did not want anything to do with this situation with Tara Reade because they were concerned about their nonprofit status. It wasn't about whether they believed Tara Reade or not. Actually, I haven't heard that. I haven't heard that Time's Up did not believe Tara Reade.
I heard that they had to take the case.
Yes, because he was a candidate, a Democratic candidate for president, and it may look like they were being partisan. So they didn't want to appear partisan.
Because they didn't want to lose their 501c3 status.
So what does that have to do with if Tara Reade is telling the truth or not? Why would you cite Time's Up not taking this case as a reason for why you came to the decision or the conclusion that you came to? It doesn't mean anything. I didn't take the case either. I didn't take the case. What does that mean? Nothing. It means absolutely nothing. Really, all you can do here, because just like there was a lack of evidence or a lack of hard evidence in the Brett Kavanaugh hearings, very similarly, you have a lack of hard evidence here. Now, we do have Tara Reade's, her claim that she actually came forward with, she filed a claim against Joe Biden, but didn't hear any response when she was in the office in the early 90s. Now, that's actually some hard evidence that something inappropriate happened, and she actually filled out some kind of report about it. Not with the police, but I'm saying, in the congressional office. That would be some kind of indication that this wasn't something new that she is saying, even though that's not any evidence that it's false or not. Many people come forward many years later, especially when somebody's running or trying to compete for some position with a lot of notoriety or anything like that. But again, it seems as though there might be more hard evidence for Tara Reade than there was with the Brett Kavanaugh affairs. So it's just kind of interesting that Alyssa Milano would do the absolute most to say, we don't want to throw away a good man. We don't want to throw away a good man. Let's go through due process. Okay. This has nothing to do with your support.
But
for Joe Biden.
what does she think due process looks like, though? It just seems like to her, due process is no process at all.
Due process is, I guess to her, due process is, well, I saw Time's Up didn't take the case. And I'm not going to read into why they said they didn't. I'm just going to say, well, Time's Up, they usually stand on the side of women. And if they didn't stand on the side of women this time, that means there's no case to be made here. Also, if this was really something, corporate media would be all over it. Corporate media would be all over it. Really?
Again, my thing is, why
Really?
would she be dishonest about the Time's Up situation and how they interacted with Tara?
Why would
she
be
be
dishonest
dishonest about that? Like
Right.
like most people already know how that happened, regardless of whether you believe the accusation or not. The information about what went down between the two parties is well known. So if she's secure in her position and she doesn't, and she beyond a shadow of a doubt knows that Biden didn't do this, she would not have to distort that reality. That comes off as very weak. That comes off as a tell to me. Like, why are you scared? Why would you have to do that? You only do that if you know there could be some truth to it. And we see a certain behavior from Joe Biden that may, give some kind of, I don't know, clue as to whether he actually did engage in some predatory behavior. And we kind of see, I would say, kind of crumbs of that.
Yeah, we do.
When his space issues he has with specifically with women, even young girls.
Yep.
I mean, as of right now, you can just Google it and thousands of images and videos will come up of him being too close to women, sniffing their hair, getting close to almost to their ear, kind of getting hugged up onto them, like putting their chest like all up in them. Like, and it's not just older women, it's younger girls too. We also have his support for Clarence Thomas.
Right.
The help he gave Clarence Thomas during the Anita Hill situation.
Right.
The compassion that he showed Clarence Thomas.
Not Anita Hill. There were other people that could have testified and provided her with more support, more, I guess, more belief about what she was telling to be accurate. He didn't allow those witnesses to testify. He was the chair.
And that was around the same time.
He was around. It was the early 90s.
That was around the same time that this situation between him and Tara happened. So it's just weird how those two things lined up. Joe Biden is essentially defending someone who was sexually harassing, I guess, a subordinate.
I wonder if...
and abusing their power. And Biden went to bat for this guy and tried to kneecap Anita Hill.
I wonder if Alyssa Milano believes Anita Hill. I wonder if Alyssa Milano believes Anita Hill.
Oh man, do not give me any ammunition to maybe say a few words to Alyssa Milano on Twitter, because right now she's been going off like a mug. She has been, you know what? It's not just her.
No, it's not.
It's not just her.
She's one of the more raised voices.
They've been, it seems as if, intentionally trying to be outraged about little things in order to deflect away from this.
Yeah. Again, I just think it's remarkable that somebody that says believe women has the time, has the ability to exhibit nuance.
I've seen
in
her
this situation.
I saw a picture of her like holding a sign up. She was like in the front of a crowd, like Me Too, all this stuff. I was
but now's not the time for believe women. Now's the time for nuance, and we don't want to throw away a good man. There was a lot of conservative women that were saying that Brett Kavanaugh was a good man. Don't throw away Brett Kavanaugh. There's no hard evidence. And Alyssa Milano was on the other side of that. many people were on the other side of that, saying believe women, me too, believe women. No time for that now. All right, but we're gonna kind of stay with Alyssa Milano, and to some regard, Joe Biden as well. This is not really about Joe Biden or his wife even. It's really about what happened because of what happened on The View.
Not The View again.
Yes, The View again. And when I say The View, Whoopi Goldberg again. Is Whoopi. So on a recent segment of The View, Whoopi Goldberg.
The Blind. We start calling it The Blind.
The Blind. So on a recent segment of The View, Whoopi Goldberg incorrectly stated what she thought Jill Biden, Dr. Jill Biden, what her background was. And this was nationally. This was on a nationally broadcasted television show. And it seems as though Whoopi Goldberg was very ignorant to the facts and ignorant to Joe Biden's background. So, again, the conversation was about this coronavirus and the response to that, and also about who should probably be the next Surgeon General. And this is what Whoopi Goldberg had to say.
Dr. Jill becomes a Surgeon General. His wife.
Yeah,
Because Joe Biden's wife, because she, he would never do it, but she's a hell of a doctor. She's an amazing doctor.
I thought she was a doctor and
PhD.
Yeah, I don't know.
I could be wrong.
Maybe
I thought she was
I think she's a teacher, but my.
So, Sonny did correct her there at the end, and it was actually Sonny that was right, and correcting her that Jill Biden is actually not a medical doctor. She holds a doctorate in education.
So how would that make her qualified to be Surgeon General? It did look like Joy, tried to be like you saw her shifting her seat. She said something like, I don't know if she used the word education. She said something like, not that kind of doctor. But it was very it didn't look like she wanted to put Whoopi on blast like that.
Yeah, this is
you can tell it was
live on TV.
You can tell it was like, she was kind of stuck. And then Whoopi just sounded so ignorant. Yeah, you make a good doctor. Yeah.
She said, she's a hell of a doctor. She's an amazing doctor.
I'm like.
So if somebody got that wrong, okay? So we know that Whoopi Goldberg was wrong. We know that she actually did not know Jill Biden's past. She did not know what type of degree she actually held. So what was Whoopi's mission here? What was her objective? She's a hell of a doctor. She's an amazing doctor. I don't really think it mattered if she was a hell of a doctor or an amazing doctor. I think Whoopi was probably just trying to put forth a very good image of the Bidens, because this was all about partisanship, really. This was all about supporting Joe Biden and Jill Biden and that team and the Democratic Party. I don't care about what her history is. It wasn't about Joe Biden. It was about, hey, I hate Trump and I hate this administration. What we need to do, Dr. Jill Biden, she got that doctor in front of her name, right? She needs to be the next Surgeon General. She's an amazing doctor. You sound ridiculous.
So all doctors are the same.
All doctors are the same. No matter what they are in.
Yeah.
And Sonny, I guess she gets a little bit. I will give her a little bit of credit for actually correcting Whoopi Goldberg, but you saw what she did at the end too, though, after she did. Well, she does have a degree in education, but she said that. So she still tried to save a girl. She still tried to save her.
They were trying to spare Whoopi's feelings.
And Whoopi, I don't know if you saw this, her her confusion after Sonny Austin, after she actually corrected her. But if you missed it, this is that immediate look on Whoopi's face. Hold on. Here we go.
My.
That Will Smith. What? You mean I didn't know?
Or you know what? I think this is sad, because I truly think I really believe Whoopi actually doesn't know.
Of course
I
she
think
doesn't know.
she saw
Of
the
course
she saw the
know.
doctor and she was like, Joe Biden's a doctor?
Next Surgeon General.
Next up, yep.
That's easy.
Perfect.
That's easy.
That's like first lady, Surgeon General?
Oh,
perfect.
man.
Joe Biden, he's our guy. That's really all she was doing.
Yeah. She doesn't
That's
even
why
look up
I
her
think
history or anything like that.
That's why like you don't have a reaction like that. That was very organic.
She was completely flabbergasted. Completely.
She was like, she didn't know what hit her. she did that. That's the Scooby. That's the Scooby.
Oh gosh, man.
Like she was like, oh, her brain hit the roll.
So look, we've covered The View and Whoopi Goldberg before. We've covered their absolute bias. We've covered their ignorance as well. So this wasn't surprising to see Whoopi Goldberg exhibit this ignorance on camera, live on camera. This is not surprising whatsoever. So given that she looked completely foolish, you know what the response was on Twitter and Facebook. You know what the response was on social media by people. They made fun of her because of her ignorance. I mean, this is someone that talks politics, talks like she is in the know, talks like she does her due diligence to be informed, but spreads ignorance. So of course she got clowned on social media. But then an interesting thing happened.
Interesting.
A very interesting thing happened. That clowning Whoopi Goldberg, that type of behavior, it turned into
a Bernie bro. It turned into a Bernie bro situation.
Yes. It turned into, look how unfair and ridiculous Bernie bros are being.
And
not
towards Whoopi.
No.
They were saying that Bernie supporters were being unfair to Jill Stein.
No, Jill Biden.
I'm sorry. I
Yes.
keep saying Jill. I've said that like 3 times.
Yes. Being unfair
Jill
to
Biden.
Jill Biden.
Yeah, being unfair to Jill Biden. Like this is just them being toxic. Because something about a woman having a doctorate. I've seen all kind of shit like it's sexism.
Yeah. This is one, we were just talking about Alyssa Milano. She had a take that was very familiar, critical of the Bernie bros. She said, Bernie bros attacking Dr. Biden for having a PhD in education is exactly what I'd expect. Y'all need to realize you're part of the problem. Bernie Sanders needs to separate himself from your support. You do more harm to him, his policies, and the country than good.
Boy, oh boy. Like, that is, like, that's a perfect example of gaslighting.
Yep.
Not only the gaslighting, it's like a distortion of what people had an issue with.
Right.
Like she's distorting what people had an issue with and making up something to be mad at.
Yeah, she created that perfect straw man.
Like, she says Bernie bros would attack Jill Biden for having a PhD.
Who would attack somebody for having a PhD? Even Jill Biden. Even if we have negative views about Joe Biden, which we do. Has that ever extended onto Jill Biden, really? I haven't really seen a lot of animosity towards Jill Biden. Actually, when we're talking about her, and really, a lot of times it looks like she's his caregiver. It seems like she knows what's, hampering him and, what's getting in his way of, I guess, being the most cognitively sound on the campaign trail. She knows this about her husband, so she's there to save him. But we never have any disparaging words about Jill Stein. And given that this segment on The View was not about Joe Biden, it really even wasn't about Jill Biden. Whoopi Goldberg made it about Jill Biden by saying that she should be the next Surgeon General. The response on Twitter was in mocking Whoopi Goldberg for her being so ignorant. It wasn't about, hey, Jill Biden, she look like she only has a PhD in education. Why would anybody do that?
That's how Milano was trying to shape it. She was trying to shape it to suggest, not just suggest, to kind of blatantly distort what people had a problem with by saying that, they were making it about, her not just having a PhD, but downplaying her PhD.
Nobody did that. It never happened. Everybody had very clownish words about Whoopi Goldberg. Because, of course, look, again, we have covered The View. We have covered Whoopi Goldberg before. When she displays her obvious bias, when The View displays their obvious bias, when they are completely ignorant to facts, there's a response because you should know better. If you are going to get in front of the camera nationally and talk politics, at least know what the hell you're talking about. That's what we're saying. Especially when you profess this bias that is so clear to see. When you have this, I guess, this animosity towards actual progressivism, yeah, there's going to be some mocking of you when you get something wrong. Something so obviously wrong as well. Nobody criticized Jill Biden. It was never about Jill Biden. It was only about Whoopi Goldberg. I don't even remember anybody saying anything about Sonny. I didn't see anybody saying anything about Sonny because she actually corrected her, even though she kind of tried to save her at the same time. I don't remember seeing anybody say anything about Joe Behar. Nope. No, it was Whoopi Goldberg.
That's how you know it's all fake. think about
it's
that.
Turned
though.
into
think
look
about
at Bernie
that.
Bros.
Think about
look
that.
Look at them damn Bernie Bros.
Remember what I said about people trying to create these little side issues? I call them side hustles. Side hustles just in a political way because it just seems as if they're trying to avoid talking about something. Now, I think they were trying to avoid talking about a lot of things when it comes to Joe Biden, but specifically the rape allegations. Yeah. And so they have to blow all this stuff up or just make something out of nothing.
To distract. I mean, you know what? Distract and deflect, it's not, I usually, back in the day, when I say back in the day, maybe 3-4 years ago, usually when I talked about distract and deflect, that was something that I talked about when it concerned conservatives. As more time goes on, we see that it's not just something that a particular person on whatever side uses. Everybody uses this technique of distract and deflect because they don't actually want to talk about something that's real. They don't want to talk about the sexual assault allegation on Joe Biden. They don't want to make that a part of the campaign.
And so if you that last tweet that we showed, it always goes back to one person, and that's where we see what the motive is behind this kind of false outrage. Because she started out with Bernie Bros, but of course she tagged Bernie Sanders because that's what it's about. And that's necessary because you have to create these instances of outrage and you have to create these instances where you are reporting on something that happened and it's the worst thing in the world. You got to make things up because your guy sucks.
Yep.
Because the guy you support is inadequate and he sucks. And he has so many flaws and you don't want to deal with those flaws, so you are constantly drumming up these fake stories.
Right. And pointing the finger. You're pointing the finger at other stuff.
Pointing the finger at something you created.
Yes.
Like,
yeah, I mean, it's amazing.
Like Whoopi, I'm like, so where's the discussion about like how wrong Whoopi was?
Exactly.
That's what the whole thing was about. It wasn't really about, Jill Biden at all. So I mean, it's.
But I really want people to think about how nothing of a story this was too, because even though it's funny that Whoopi Goldberg sold some obvious BS to her audience when she had no idea what Jill Biden's background was. Even though she did that, she was corrected on air. So that's good. It's good that she was corrected on air and people, well, like it was mild. It was a mild correction, but at least it happened.
Yeah.
What I'm saying
I understand
is,
the position they're in too.
Yeah.
They wouldn't be like, what'd you say? They wouldn't do that. They wouldn't do all that.
All I'm saying is that I'm glad nobody came away from that actually believing that Jill Biden is qualified to become the next Surgeon General. That's what I'm glad about. But what this all amounts to is just, it was funny. It was funny that Whoopi Goldberg didn't know what the hell she was talking about on air. So usually when stuff is funny, especially when you're talking about like somebody that is a celebrity figure, that's going to be talked about on social media, and there's going to be a lot of like poking and a lot of haha, idiot, like what is wrong with you? You didn't know? That typically happens no matter who the person is. So that's what we have here. This happens all the time, but it turned into something bigger. It turned into something that was about the Bernie bro toxic culture.
I know, man. It's frustrating. It's definitely frustrating. Because the focus is on the most ridiculous things. The focus is on the most ridiculous things.
The nothing
The
things.
nothing things.
It was nothing. It was
it's
funny to see.
and then Whoopi, if you watch The View, I don't watch The View a lot, but when
I watch clips.
Yeah. But again, I watch enough clips to notice that Whoopi calls people out all the time.
Of course she does.
That's what she does. Whether it be in a very serious way, whether she's kind of chastising the idiotic statements of politicians or entertainers.
Don't they talk about the Trump administration routinely? Don't they poke fun at Trump all the time?
Yeah, they criticize him, rightfully.
They laugh.
And then they poke fun at him and they laugh. They say he's not qualified. They say he doesn't say, he doesn't say the most genius things.
Is that toxic culture? Is that toxic culture?
Of course not. Of course not.
So why and I really do doubt it was just Bernie supporters that were mocking Whoopi Goldberg. I really do doubt that it was just Bernie supporters.
You gotta protect a propagandist, and that's what Whoopi Goldberg is. You gotta protect a propagandist.
So Whoopi Goldberg flubbed, right?
Yes.
Whoopi Goldberg flubbed, and that turned into, well, let's point to something else that this really isn't about. And somewhere where people did not have any type of critique about.
Let's redirect your attention to the infamous Bernie Bros.
Wow.
I never really paid a lot of attention to Whoopi Goldberg over the years. I never really paid close attention to her politics. All I knew of her was Color Purple, Sister Act, and what's the show? Was that what show did she play on? Back in the day, what show was that? But anyway, here and there, I heard sound bites. So, and just hearing sound bites from her and just hearing her speak, sounded like she had her head on straight.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
I could say that.
And a lot of times, and then she has a comedic side too. And so a lot of times, comedians can be a little more introspective.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Especially about the world. So based on the little sound bites I heard just growing up, that's she has some common sense. But man, as I get older, I'm like,
now, introspection has left the building. No, there's none of that. If it was there, no.
She's different than me now, man. She's Whoopi Cushion now. Because every time she opens her mouth, it just sounds like
toxic Bernie bro, dude. Toxic Bernie bro. Come, we're on the show. Toxic.
LTMB host.
That's correct.
Attacks.
Yes.
A strong black woman.
You can't point.
This is why
anymore.
Bernie Sanders lost the black vote.
Exactly. You can't poke fun. If you poke fun at a celebrity figure, then that turns into something that it's not now, and you become a Bernie bro. You poke fun at you poke fun at Whoopi Goldberg. You're actually making fun of Jill Biden. Oh goodness, man. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Anyway, all right. So let's get some callers in here. Let's see if there's any callers that.
Oh, did you just do Three Stooges?
Did I? Whoop,
whoop, whoop. Yeah. I think you just did Three Stooges, man. Yep. Have you watched it recently?
Have not. Have not. I don't think it's.
Yeah, it's not on any kind of.
It usually comes. It used to come on
Nickelodeon,
Nick at
yeah.
Night. But I haven't seen it in years, man. I used to like that John too. Man.
I used to like Three Stooges. Yeah. I used to watch all the what they used to come on, Brady Bunch.
Yeah.
They used to play Leave It to Beaver.
Dang, I'm forgetting
the Andy Griffith Show.
Yeah, well, I still watch that sometimes. That comes on, I think, Sundance maybe. There's an
Gilligan's Island. But see, I watched. There was
I Dream of Jeannie.
Oh yeah.
No, that doesn't come on, but I wish it came on.
I bet you do. I bet you do. See, yeah, you.
I wish it came.
Yeah, I bet you do. Yeah.
I'm thinking about the other one. Bewitched.
Bewitched.
Yeah. That used to come on. What was the show too with the they're supposed to be twins. I can't remember the name of that show now. It was an old show. Woman. I think she was It was only one character, one real person, but she was playing twin roles. I can't remember what the name of that show was.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Old show. Somebody probably knows it, man.
I used to probably my favorite, probably up top is the old Twilight Zone.
Patty Duke. Yeah,
Patty
that
Duke,
was it.
okay.
Yeah. I don't know. What was the show though? Was it the Patty Duke show?
Was it the Patty Duke show?
I think it was the Patty Duke show.
But like the show, I think, man, was way ahead of its time. Was the Twilight Zone.
Oh yeah, that man. Sometimes wow.
Those stories, yeah, it's like they were weird, but they kind of gave you a glimpse into the human mind. They just had a really like eerie way of explaining it, like the, kind of psychoanalyzing society through little, I would call them bits, but they kind of snuck it in there on you by making it eerie and really creepy and kind of weird.
Yeah, I think that was ahead of its time, really.
Yeah, no, it was smart. Like there was a remake. It wasn't as good. It was
there a
good.
remake?
Yeah, they did. It was.
I may remember it, but I don't think I saw any of it.
Yeah. I mean, it was. Yeah. There's been like a lot of them. They didn't necessarily take the name on, but there was. I think one show that was kind of like that. It was called. Was it called Outer Limits? I can't remember it now.
I think I remember that.
It was kind of like there was a kind of a more
Amazing Stories. I remember that too.
Oh yeah.
Amazing Stories. Yeah, I remember that. That was kind of like the Twilight Zone too. Yeah. Man, those late '80s, early '90s shows. TV is not the same.
Oh no, it's not. I mean, it's like I think it's like it's one of those things where it's not worse. It's just there's a lot of good things out there. There's a lot of good shows out there. It's not enough to watch. It's just that there's more whack shit too.
That's
why. So people say TV.
There's a lot more
there's
worse
like
stuff
more
out
worse
there
stuff.
because
So it's
there's
like
so much more.
I think
content.
that's more content. So you have to just take that for what it is. Same thing with music. A lot of people say like, oh, music has changed. It's like, yeah, it has changed, or they'll say it got worse, or they'll say things like, I was on Twitter and there was an argument. Some woman started about R&B music and how nobody, guys don't sing like that anymore. You don't sing like that anymore. You don't sing about love. You don't sing about love. And I was like, what are you talking about? There's like, what are you talking about? There's always music where there's men serenading women. I'm like, up to this day, like this song comes out.
It's different. It's just different.
No, I don't think it's different. I promise you it's not different. Wait,
Right.
I think it's actually better, honestly. Think about it. Okay, off top of my head. There's nothing but, I don't want to say simping because that term is overused because it means like something, I forgot what the word means. It's something mediocre pussy. Something idolizing mediocre pussy. Something. But anyway. But like when you talk about this serenading women, because that's what people bring up when they talk about R&B. They get the old videos. They just do it differently, and they just do it differently.
Like who?
You mean like who? Like nowadays?
Who? Yeah.
Off the top of my head, I'm not like tapped into music like I used to be. Off the top of my head, Neo. What's that? I would consider him current. But the song that pops into my head, it's not a current song. But that song he did with Jamie Foxx. I love her cause she got her own. You know what I'm saying? Young, independent, yeah, she work hard.
Yeah.
She, like, you know what I'm saying? She don't expect nothing from no guy. That's some like bigging up female women agency right there. Or the other
How old
song.
is that though?
That doesn't matter. That's
Yeah, it is.
but that's
We in
still
2020
modern.
now.
I'm just saying, like, but people, they've been saying that since the 2000s. So this is a talking point that's been in existence since the 2000s. And that song is about 5 years old.
Nobody saying that in the 2000s.
What are you talking about?
The year 2000
When
people saying that?
Well, maybe 2000.
Because it was
after.
that was like the same era, really. Because the 90s had just left. I don't think anybody was saying that then. You hear that now. I remember hearing that maybe in 2010.
Wait a second. Even Chris Brown with his abusive and problematic ass, all of his songs are about like serenading women. I gotta admit that you got my attention. You're making me want to say it. I know your name, but
I'll say
excuse me,
something.
miss. Like I'm like, there's plenty out there. Like.
Would you say that there's like the same amount?
I don't think you can quantify that. Like you said, there's more content. It's just that sometimes it's maybe harder to weed through the whack stuff. You know what I'm saying?
I think there's more, like, because back in the day there wasn't like this connection between hip hop and R&B. Now you see a lot more of that than you did before.
You see a lot more of it, yes, with the collabs. But like when I go
But
back,
not even the collabs. I'm just talking about the actual style of even a singer.
Kind of. I mean, you actually saw, even with what you saw boy bands, they didn't include, like, they didn't do a collab with a rapper, but they were rapping. Even the song with Ralph Tresvant, "You Need a Man, Not Any Man," that he rapped in that song. Bobby Brown, he rapped in his music. So it's like it was already there. It just may have been done differently. I'm just saying, we saw the same elements. It just kind of grew and matured a little bit. I'm just not the person to be like, it just manifests differently. I just see the same thing. All I'm saying is Muggs still be serenading chicks like some damn Tyrese or Tank or Genuine type shit.
But again, that's still, you talking about a decade ago. I'm just saying, that's a decade ago.
Trey Songz?
Yeah, but Trace,
he's got. What about Drake? Drake serenades all the damn time.
But I say it's different. You gotta say
it doesn't matter
different.
whether it's different
it's
or not.
Mad different.
It doesn't matter whether it's different. It's still there. Obviously, the serenading is going to be different. It's going to be focused because we're in a different world. The references are going to be different. You're not going to use a 1980s reference. You're not going to use the same style, but it's the same. Simply because it manifests differently, you can't say it's different. Obviously, it's going to look different and appear different because we're in different times. But the idea of serenading, that's all I'm talking about. Serenading a woman is still there. It's still there.
I say it's different.
You just stuck. You just stuck in it.
Nah, it's different. I hear it, man. It's different. I'm telling you. All right, let's get to the first call. I don't know what. It doesn't even have a number attached to this. This was a new update, so I don't know what's going on. But we're gonna have to. Let me see here. All right, let's take that off and see if we can get. All right, so I don't know. I think this was the first one. Let me unmute this one. Caller, are you there?
Yo. Hey, what's up?
Hey, how you doing? Who's this?
This is Eric Graham. I have progressivenewsmagazine.com. So check out my latest article about Obama and how he is the one who left the blueprint for them to these vultures in D.C. to do the latest disaster capitalism bailout fraud that they did, giving $4.2 trillion to the 0.01%. And they're going to fool people with a $1,200 check one time. Canada got $2,000 a month for 4 months. United States, $1,200 one-time payment, and the fraud of the $4.2 trillion that's going to go to the 1%. Also, Whoopi Goldberg, she's a tool. She's been an establishment tool. She's a tool of Hillary Rodham Clinton, and she's just out there to protect the establishment and attack progressives. And remember, she did blackface. Remember when blackface was okay for her white boyfriend to do?
Yeah, we recall that. What Ted Danson?
Ted Danson, yeah, and she has a history of kind of running interference for abusers.
She's a tool, man.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm gonna write an article about her upcoming soon. But check out my latest article about how the coronavirus exposes Obama and his corruption. Different skin color, same corruption. ProgressiveNewsMagazine.com. I might get cut off because I'm using Skype and I'm in Guatemala.
Okay, well, you called it. You got cut off. We appreciate you calling in, though, Eric. And yeah, we. I believe that Whoopi Goldberg is a tool as well. I don't know if I would go as far as to say that she's a tool of Hillary Clinton. I think that's, I don't know that she needs any added motivation. I think, people can come to that decision without having a directive placed on them by a political figure. It's just that Whoopi Goldberg is definitely out of touch with the real plight, the real struggle. She's not actually in it for progress of the rest of us. She's just not. You can hear that from her content. So Like I said, I don't think somebody like Hillary Clinton has to direct her to do anything. I think she can do that all on her own. All right, let's get to the next caller, 919 area code. You are on the air live with the LTMB.
Hello?
Hello?
Hi, this is Calvin. How you guys doing tonight?
Good, man. How you doing tonight?
Oh, pretty good. On lockdown. That's about it.
Yeah, everybody is.
Yep. But, I was thinking about some things. The primary in Wisconsin, that's unbelievable with this type of epidemic going on. And public safety, you would think, would be one of the key things. I mean, they're not even letting people go to churches in some places or gather in groups of more than, a certain number of people. But the primary has to continue. It's not like it's just a date, an arbitrary date that they can move into the future instead of risking people's health and their welfare, And I was thinking about, all these rumors you're hearing about Cuomo now. I'm like, really? You're going to let that kind of rumors surface up? The DNC should come out and say something like, that's a bunch of BS. He didn't run for anything. Why would we pick him to be the Democratic nominee? Unless there is something to it, And I'm like, it looks like Joe Biden can't even put his own pants on without his wife helping him, And she looks like he's to the point where he's drooling. She's got to wipe his mouth for him too. But
Damn, Calvin. Damn, Calvin. Damn, you about to.
You putting imagery on.
I know you putting imagery on it, man. I just imagined like Joe Biden like in a high chair with like a bib on.
Some adult diapers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did I do
but
too
she
much?
is like his handler, She's like, okay, let's go. Okay, stop staring into the camera. You're going off cue. You're going off track here.
Yeah, and I mean, and realistically, we don't have confirmation. I mean, like, we don't have solid, I guess, proof that something is going on with Joe Biden cognitively, but we see all the evidence, right? I mean, we see that it looks like the proof is there when he speaks. I don't think that problem is getting any better. I don't think it's going to get better. If he's elected president, I think he will continue that mental decline. And, I mean, that doesn't bode well for it doesn't bode well for us.
Yeah.
Doesn't.
It doesn't. I mean, he can't put two good thoughts together, or string, no good sentences together, and then he slurs his words, he calls things backwards. Yeah. Then he goes off into these moments where he's staring into the camera like a deer staring into headlights on a road. It's like, are you there, Joe? Are you there? Wake up. And so I'm like, man. I'm like, and really,
it's different from his, like, I never even knew before this political cycle, this election cycle. I didn't even know that he had I guess, suffered with stuttering. I'd never heard that about Joe Biden ever. I may be one of the few, or I don't know, but I don't think that was just readily dispersed through the media that Joe Biden suffered from stuttering. I don't think so. But if that was the problem, then nobody would make fun of him, and I haven't heard anybody actually make fun of him for stuttering. But this is something different. It's completely different.
I mean, I would never make no fun of anyone stuttering too. I mean, junior high school, I used to sometimes have a slight stuttering problem too, but I kind of got out of it. But it's like, I think about so many other different things, like that stimulus package they passed, and I keep talking to like various different friends of mine and family who have little small businesses. They're black-owned businesses, but they are like in the dark and clueless that they can get this money, and they don't have to have a need for it. They can get it. They don't need a need for it. And it's easy money. They're not asking for any guarantees, no collateral. They're just saying, well, you're in business the first of the year. Do you have this, and it's easy to apply for. But that money's going to go a poof in a puff of smoke if you don't pounce on it now.
Yeah.
And so I've been telling them, no, don't be scared. Apply for the money. It's there. They're going to get it. You better get it too, And so, another thing I find kind of disheartening is that a lot of people who are making up the casualties of these deaths, coronavirus deaths, are disproportionately black people.
Right.
Especially like in Chicago. I was reading something that said like 74% of the people in Chicago are making up some of those casualties. And I'm wondering, what's that a failure of? A lack of health insurance? a lack of knowledge, but I can see how the lack of health insurance would keep people from going, or the struggle of having to go to work every day and still you're feeling sick, but you feel like I got to go because I got to make this money, I got to take care of my bills, But that shows us like, hey, it seems like to me what they've done, the solution for this big problem we have is give a huge stinking dose of socialism that they want to always call a bad thing to solve this problem. $2 trillion. Now they're talking about another trillion and tax cuts for the rich possibly. And I'm like, okay, all this so-called socialism that is so bad, which you want to dump on as a bad thing, as a bad label on Bernie Sanders, you're trying to use that, pull that out the hat now to solve our economic crisis, And so I'm like, it to me shows these people are willing to do whatever they have to do for the very rich and the well-to-do, but they don't really care about trying to look out for the little guy. It's okay to have let's give them a little something now. Let's give them some health care. They can go get some free health care to see if they got the virus and we treat them or whatever. But then when the virus is over, what? Oh, we don't care if you got regular flu. We don't care if you got cancer or if you got AIDS or if you're just sick or whatever. We don't care, but this is something where we have to nip it in the bud because it could cause businesses lots of money and everything and disrupt our whole economic cycle. And then for them to sit down and say that we should have we should just basically, some people suggesting we shouldn't do anything. We should just continue like normal and just let people drop dead like flies and just make our way through it. It's the American way. We can't sacrifice capitalism for people's well-being,
I think anybody could have seen that this was going to, really devolve into a really terrible situation globally. It was going to impact the United States of America in one way or another. It depends. I mean, I guess you could talk about the extent of the crisis here in the United States of America. If we had shut things down earlier, then I don't believe you would have seen some of these types of situations that you're seeing, especially in these communities that don't have a majority of black people, but they are the majority of the deaths in those cities and, in those states. So we just should have shut it down. I mean, that would have been the best thing to do. But like you were saying, it's hard to do that. Specifically, it's hard to do that when the country doesn't mandate it. And it's hard to do that when your job is still telling you to come into work and you can't afford to not go to work because that rent's not going to be put on hold. That car payment is not going to be put on hold. Food is definitely can't be put on hold. I mean, none of this stuff can be put on hold. So it's like you have to risk your health just in order to survive, which is crazy. You know what I'm saying? Risk your health in order to survive. That doesn't even make no damn sense. But that's the difficult position that people were in. The position that we should have been in is a position where nobody had to worry about how they were going to make ends meet for a certain month. They just had that opportunity, or not the opportunity, but they could just stay home because it was best for everybody in the country. The objective is to not spread the virus. So what better way than to just stay at the house, stay at the crib where you're not possibly infecting others?
Because if you get the virus and you can't afford treatment, because you have so much working against you. So much. You don't want to put yourself at risk, but at the same time you have bills to pay.
Yeah.
Because if you put yourself at risk because you have bills to pay, then you have bills to pay and you go to work, you're putting yourself at risk to maybe get the virus, and then you be in financial problems. So
right.
Yeah, and I think not just a social safety net in regard to people who can't go out or who can't work because they're not essential. The essential workers, I guess, need some reassurance too. So, even during a pandemic, there's going to be people that have to work. People talk about doctors and nurses and stuff, but garbage people.
Right.
People pick up garbage. Mm-hmm. They got to work. And there's people who have to make house calls. They have to work too, whether it be plumbers or stuff like that. Like people who, work on cars. Mm-hmm. That to me, people have to still get around.
Of course.
And so there's still people who have to work in this. like Amazon workers or delivery workers. Like, I think there would be a little more confidence, and they would have a little more confidence in doing what they do if they had some reassurance that they were, one, being protected, and two, being compensated.
Right.
Yeah, it's just like even grocery store workers, they're really essential. Because what would people do without them? But they're putting their life at risk, their health at risk, and then they're putting up this little plastic shield in front of them. But that's just gives people a sense of false security. I mean, when somebody sneezes or coughs, it goes everywhere,
Right.
And so I'm like, really, they should be giving all of them masks and gloves to wear at least at the bare minimum if they're going to shield off there.
I've seen people in the hospitals. Yeah, I've seen people in the hospitals wearing like garbage bags because they don't have the proper equipment. So, I mean, it's a serious problem.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Garbage bag.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And this is supposed to be the United States of America. We're supposed to be number one and the best in everything, but we don't have the PPE to equip our first responders and healthcare workers to take care of this. That's just. You say to yourself, this is like crazy. But you say to yourself, if you believed everything Donald Trump was telling you in January and February, you're now in a desperate position. When I saw Trump on TV in January talking about it wasn't nothing, I said, oh boy, it's time to stock up on the groceries.
That's right. I know it. It's sad that it came to that too. It's sad that people probably didn't, or people were believing them, and now, I mean, it's just so many people are in a worse position because we didn't respond to this crisis with the seriousness that we should have, treated responsibly.
Oh, yeah.
It's crazy, man. Capitalism, though.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but in Italy, they did everything the right way. I mean, they said everybody stay home, stay in your houses. Don't worry about utilities. Don't worry about your monthly payments or your rent. It's all on suspension, They said stay off the streets. When you look at videos of Italy and places, it's like a ghost town. Nobody's anywhere hardly. And that's the way it should be over here.
It should have been. And it should have been like that very early on.
Yeah, it should have been like that very early on. And we could be thanking Chinese and Italy for showing us how we should have done, but we squandered all that time.
Well, South Korea, they found out about their first case the same day we did.
Oh, yeah. And they,
And they're already flattening. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what you have when you respond to things and you do it in a pragmatic, scientific way, as opposed to thinking capitalism. Let's postpone this. Let's see what we can do, whatever, Businesses will be hurt. Right. Who cares about businesses when all the people are going to get sick and suffer and die, True. It's like your life is not important until they say it's important, until they label you as essential, You
have to give them that.
I'm going to let you guys.
Give them that essential money, that essential pay.
Yep. I mean, you're a trash guy, but guess what? Now you're essential. You can't not take off from work.
Right.
Or you're a nurse, and you feel like your life's in jeopardy, and your boss tells you can't wear protective gear, you can't wear a mask, Yet you say to yourself, hey, you want me to get sick and die, what about you, But you were where you are. You're not handling these people. You're not doing this. People aren't taking a regard for people's lives and this whole thing. I mean, these nurses and stuff that are doing this, they're putting their own lives at stake. They're putting their own family's lives at stake. If they got family, they're taking this stuff home. It's scary when you just watching people just drop dead left and right to you every day. You're trying to do the best you can to take care of them, And it gets me because the hospital system, if this keeps getting worse, it's going to collapse. Possibly. And if it collapses, that's going to make things even worse. They'll just tell people, stay home, we can't help you.
That'll be, oh my gosh, that'll be catastrophic.
They might have to start making those tough decisions because it's not just about the amount of, coronavirus cases. Hospitals have everyday shit to worry about.
Yeah.
So they would have to kind of make room and create a space for the coronavirus cases on top of the shit that they already have to deal with.
Yeah,
so it's not about the amount of hospital beds that they have. We can't, I guess speculate about overcrowding of hospitals based on the amount of hospital beds and then the amount of coronavirus cases. We still have to take into account that hospital beds are always being occupied.
Yeah. This is just added on to regular stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, they only have a limited amount of resources and a limited number of people. And so they might have to go to some type of triage method where they say we can only help those we think that may survive. And other people just try to make them comfortable, That's sad, but that might be a possibility,
Well, we appreciate you calling in, Calvin, man. Always good talking to you.
All right, it's been fun. Y'all have a good one.
All right, you too, man. I wonder if Kenneth Copeland is going to go around some coronavirus carriers now, because he's blown it away. He's blown it away.
He will come up with.
He got to show and prove.
He would create some excuse to not do. Because if he was really about that life, he would have done that. He would have gone to a hospital.
Yeah.
And he would have
licked somebody's face.
Oh yeah. Like he would have been like, let it out. Cough on me.
Yeah.
I'll
expel these demons.
Yeah. Like he would go around a lot of people who had tested positive for coronavirus are showing a lot of, symptoms and signs.
And show them the work of God.
To God. Jesus. Just healed. You are healed.
All right, we have a 301 on the line now. You're you're on the air with LTMB Live. 301.
Hey, how you doing, guys? Thank you for taking my call.
Hey, how you doing? Who's this?
That's Rashid from PG County, Maryland.
Oh,
Rashid.
What's up, man?
What's going on, man?
Yeah, man. No, I was calling in to I called in actually to further elaborate on the COVID-19 that black people are making up 70% of deaths in major cities all across the country.
Right.
I shared an article today from the New York Times. This article is actually written in 1999. It's called "The World: White Doctors, Black Patients, Not a Simple Case of Healthcare." I also shared an article where Serena Williams, she,
I remember that.
one of the richest people.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember that.
So what happened? Yeah, she had blood clots and her doctor didn't believe her, and she almost died after she gave birth.
Right.
Well, I used to bring this up all the time, and I actually called your guys' show too. Because Bernie Sanders was pushing free healthcare, but the issue for Black Americans has always been the doctors themselves, not really the amount of money that we have. Of course, everybody is being affected by not having money, but the main issue that we as Black Americans have always faced in this country. Back when the country was only worth like $79 billion and everybody was pushing for free healthcare back in like 1902, is that the majority of physicians have implicit, underlying bias against us. And the thing is that, they believe that, even doctors, they believe that, our skin is thicker, that we don't feel pain as much. They just believe a whole host of ridiculous superhuman stuff about us.
Right.
And what you've seen, if you've been paying attention on Twitter, is that a lot of Black people have been telling people, no, I have the COVID-19 virus. I was one of the lucky people to actually get tested. They told me to go home and self-isolate. So it's like, all right, so you find out you have it. Just to get tested was rare. And then once you find out you have it, they told you to go back to your family. And Black families, we're only, on average, worth $1,700. So where you about to go? They're telling you that you can't use the same bathroom as the person who might have it. You can't breathe in the same air. You can't touch the same stuff. Like, you have to completely quarantine yourself away. So what is happening is that, this is just me personally, but me personally, I believe that this might have originated here, and that because of our lack of healthcare in this nation, that everywhere else just happened to notice it first. Because they were, China was also, I know that a lot of the cases exploded over there in China, but in America, we weren't even testing this until we basically shut down the nation. The U.S. government was supposed to know about this since January. They did nothing. Nancy Pelosi came out and said this is going to disproportionately affect Black people and the poor. And it was crazy because, all of a sudden you started hearing left and right, oh, Black and brown communities. No, they didn't say Black and brown communities. They said Black people. And right now we're seeing the difference. This is not a POC coalition. This is turning into an epidemic. This is turning into a ridiculous epidemic for the Black community. Not just a pandemic for the world, but Black Americans are being just left out in the dust. They're saying, oh, we have ventilators to help, ventilators to help you breathe. But it's okay, you got 100 of those, your hospital took on 70 black people and 30 white ones, and you gave all the 30 white folks the ventilators first. You know, like they're moving us to the back of the queue. Like as you see in Chicago, only 30% of the city is black, but 70% of all the people who are dying are black. And you look at Louisiana, you look at Georgia, you look at everywhere else, and it's like the same story. So I live over here in Maryland, and I work in Baltimore. Well, right now, the entire state is on lockdown. So, you know, I'm not locked down, but, you know, stay-at-home orders, and the city of Baltimore is on a curfew. Well, everyone is now. But, you know, Baltimore stepped out real quick and was like, yeah, no, we want to try to get a hold of this. And it's not happening. You know, like they're not releasing the information about who has it, where the concentrated areas. And today, Governor Larry Hogan just came out and was like, no, you're going to release that information. And you're going to tell us who has it, where is it concentrated, and all types of stuff. And it's like, I just had to go to Frederick Hospital. And if you've ever been to Maryland, when you go up into Frederick, it looks like they have alabaster stone as their floors. Like, it just looks amazing. Like, everywhere looks like it could have marble floors and walls and all this other stuff. It is just rich over there. And when I went to that hospital, they had valet parking. Well, when I go over to the hospital next to me, they're like, what type of health insurance do you have, before they even, like, let you get in the hospital? You know, they're like, well, you know, let me not even take up the bed. Do you have health care? Let me see what type of health insurance you got. You know, like, they just do the most. And it's crazy because our elected officials, even the Congressional Black Caucus, are not stepping up, and they are not doing the things we need them to do. You know, I thought The View was, you know, because Whoopi Goldberg and everything made, you know, national news for her berating Bernie Sanders and getting Jane, what is it, Biden? I don't know why I couldn't remember his guy's last name. But, you know, his wife, and mixing up, you know, what her doctorate was in, you know, and it's like, forget that. Like, Karen, you know, like Whoopi Goldberg's real name is Karen. You just got to be like, yo, listen, it isn't about this. Like, forget the presidential election.
Isn't that ironic considering what's trending now with the whole Karen is a slur? And then his name turns out to be Karen. I don't care how she spells it, because she spells it like a C, but she's a Karen.
It was still the same thing. Like, you mad at nothing, and there's a whole epidemic happening. You know, there's a little meme. I think it was like Jake the dog, where like his entire house was burning, and he was just sipping his coffee or eating pancakes or something.
Yeah.
And that's what I feel like. I'm like all of our elected officials are trying to anoint Biden, and right now people are dropping like flies left and right. And I'm like, I just cannot get over the insanity of, like, old people are just dropping like flies from this. And they're like, yeah, let's get all the old people out to vote together. Like, this stuff is spreading through older folks' homes, you know, through, I don't want to call them old, but, you know, old folks' homes. I can't remember the regular names for them, but old folks' homes, just stuff is just spreading through those places. And they're like, yeah, come on out. I'm like, if there was one thing that I would think these people would do, is protect their base. You know, like, you can see that the doctors are protecting the white community, because they're definitely giving out ventilators and hospital beds to the white majority, keeping them up, and just being like, black folks go back home. But their elected officials are just selling them down the river. They're like, oh, the majority of the people who vote for us are over 70. Let's have all of you meet up right now. I'm like, what in the world is going on in these people's heads? But no, I just been sharing articles, the one about Serena Williams and the one about the New York Times from 1999 that I was already talking about, issues like this that are happening in our hospitals. And it's ridiculous. Like, you would think that at some level, you know, rich people would say, you know, or the people who were running all this stuff, you know, the donor class would be like, okay, wait, we can't steal an election if there's no one here to vote. You know, like, you can't tweak numbers from the exit polls if only 5,000 people came out to vote, and you're like, oh yeah, Biden got 99,000 people to vote for him. Like, come on, you know. Like, it got blatant last election, and it's looking kind of crazy this election too. But I'm like, yo, what's going to happen when Milwaukee comes back from voting? Thankfully, Maryland stopped their voting until June. But what's going to happen in Milwaukee when they're like, oh, yeah, so Biden got 10 times the amount of people that showed up? Like, what? Like, I just feel like with all the different because, you know, we didn't move to paper ballots. Jill Stein, the Green Party, already proved that black voters in black areas were being disenfranchised. The same thing for the Native Americans and the Asian community. You know, and it's like what are our officials doing? Like, why aren't people saying to themselves, these people just sold me out, so the least I can do is take away your job? You know, like, I don't know what it's going to take, but the world has literally come to a halt. The pollution is stopping. Dolphins are returning back to Italy. You know, ancient birds are coming out of hibernation or whatever, you know, whatever the heck. And it's like, people are still like, but what about the economy? Like, bro, you're going to die. like you're going to make money when you're dead? Like, come on now. Like, all the news people are like, maybe we should just give it to people so that way we can just get over this. That's not how this works. Like, I'm not going to lie to you guys.
They're thinking that there's always going to be some other person to step up. So, yes.
Right? That's the only thing.
That's what it is. So they're thinking that they're not being callous and trying to make people desperate, because that's what they're doing. Because if they were really serious about making sure people were taken care of, people would have got money like that. But they have to create this desperation. And so, because they know that there's always going to be somebody else to step up. So, but yeah, man. I do think it's important to highlight who make up most of the victims, which does shine that light that always gets shined on this country when it comes to who is valued. So yeah, we probably
honestly
we probably need to get into that more on this show, and since most of the news
Twitter,
since the news is going to be talking about this, and we are, so we probably have to kind of highlight that too. But yeah, we appreciate you calling and bringing that up, man. We got another caller. We're running out of time, so we got to get to this next caller.
Thank you for taking my call. Y'all guys have a nice night.
Yeah, man. You too, bro.
Yeah, man. Good hearing from you, Rasheed. Love those comments, no doubt. Like I said, we did briefly talk about how there was, more black people that were victims of this virus in a number of cities across the country, and that definitely does need to be talked about. We're going to go to 607 area code. You are on the air live.
What's going on, guys? This is Frez.
Did you say Fred?
Yeah, Frez from North Carolina.
Frez?
Yeah, Frez, like F-R-E-Z.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. I was like, you're the first Frez I've ever heard of.
It's okay. Totally fine. I called to talk to you guys about two things. Firstly, about Trump's whole plan where he shut off the border with Mexico. Had you guys seen where Dr. Fauci said that it was really smart of us to do that?
I can't say specifically. I heard.
I do remember the administration trying to do that. I did not hear what Dr. Fauci said.
Right.
I mean, if he's going to, cut off flights from other countries, I mean, it makes sense to shut down the border, because I think Canada did that with us. They did that, with their border with us. So, I mean, if you're trying to manage the spread of a virus, I think
this would be the time to do something like that.
Yeah, like the border does become an issue now. Like, that's just talking about it practically and talking about it in a way that makes sense, because we have a certain situation. Now, the motive for the Trump administration doing that is going to be a lot different. They're just going to use it as an excuse to target people with ICE more. That's really what they're going to do. So I wouldn't. Go ahead. What's up, man?
I mean, like, I wouldn't have as much of a problem, but he cut off the southern border before he actually cut off flights from Europe. And at the point where he cut off travel from the southern border, there actually weren't very many cases, and I don't believe any in Mexico. It's funny because to me it mirrors what happened in Russia, because that's what Putin did. He decided to implement racism, basically to try to slow the spread of COVID, and he's kind of modeled a lot of the really crazy incendiary ideas.
Kind of broke up a little bit there, man.
We didn't catch that last part.
You got muffled at the end, like the last couple seconds. The last couple sentences.
Well, Putin decided to basically target Chinese people to slow the spread of COVID. And as you know, that of course doesn't work. But it mirrors what he did mirrors a lot of what Trump does, and it's just kind of funny to me because they're always saying they're connected.
Well, I mean, I think a lot of the regimes are connected in a way based on how they view their populace and how they think about their populace and how they control their populace. I mean, you look at some of Trump's favorite leaders, and they're the leaders of authoritarian governments.
Mm-hmm.
He respects those leaders like Duterte, Bolsonaro, dude from Turkey, Erdogan, and dude from Hungary.
I don't know why he hasn't called.
He just praised that dude. He just praised that dude from Hungary. And you see what's going on with Hungary right now.
Oh, I didn't even see where he praised them.
Yeah,
man, I was waiting on it.
So you know what's going on in Hungary right now. That junk people need to pay attention to, because that shit is like, that's some like straight authoritarian shit, where you can be like arrested for. You can basically be arrested for what the government deems as fake news or some shit. Or spreading fake
I mean,
news.
it worries me that Turkey basically did that, then Hungary did that. I wonder who's next. But and I think I actually forgot the other thing I called you guys about. You guys have a great night.
That's right, okay. Man. If you remember it, man, you can get in the chat. And so if you do remember it, if we're still on, just get up in that chat, man. Just tag us.
We appreciate you calling in, Fres.
Thanks, man.
Fres. Man.
Yeah, it's not surprising that, I mean, like you saying, there's some, it would be practical given a situation like this to, shut down borders, because, I mean, within our own borders, we're having problems. And if we're calling on people to shut their doors and not to come out unless it's extremely essential, then yeah, it would make sense to shut down the borders as well. But when you talk about the motivation of somebody like Trump to make a decision like that, and if it's true what Fred was saying about that decision coming after, shutting down flights from other countries, especially European countries, then it's not really the virus spreading that's like the top concern of Donald Trump. Let me see. I think we have another caller waiting here. Okay, yeah, we have one more caller. Have a little bit more time left, about 2 minutes.
Yeah, so you got the floor the whole time.
All right, so this is 830. You're on the air live with LTMB.
Hey, it's Taylor from New Braunfels, Texas.
Good to hear from you, Taylor, man. What's going on?
Yeah, well, I just have a sad story of what my friend's going through who worked at Amazon in San Marcos, Texas. Apparently, she got fired because she wasn't able to work since she had, a digestive system surgery in the hospital and had to stay a few days. And, so she lost her job and she doesn't have health insurance. So she had a big bill, that came in and, and now just struggling to try to find a job, which is really hard now because of this whole COVID crisis going on.
Yeah, man, I can imagine. Just trying to find a job when everybody is either being laid off or furloughed and trying to collect unemployment.
The options are very limited when you lose a job now.
Yeah.
I mean, it might, you might be able to get into something, a job that is centered on those essential services, but
Well, Taylor, we only got about 30 seconds left, so if you have anything else to say.
Yeah, well, it's just, it's just kind of like typical, that Amazon did that. And I'm hearing that, they're not really like enforcing like good working safe environment, and they're still trying to, force people to work, even though they may have the COVID virus. It's just, it's very typical right now, especially with Amazon.
Agreed, man. It's a sad situation that, somebody like your friend has to go through that. It's still, it's crazy that you would have to worry about expenses right now, given the reality that you don't have a way to pay for those expenses. It's a crazy situation.
Didn't Amazon fire the kind of the ringleader of the strike? I forgot his name. Anybody in the chat? Anybody watching the show know his name? They fired that dude. The dude who was the ringleader behind the Amazon protest. They found some stupid reason to fire him.
Yep.
We know it was legitimate. We know it was legitimate reason.
It's crazy, man. I was looking on the internet, and because I need a headset, right? Because for the work I do, I'm work from home, and I need a headset, right? I was not thinking about this. I wasn't thinking about it. Do you know that there is extreme scarcity when it comes to headsets that you can buy online now? Because I guess everybody is working from home.
Everybody's working from home.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah,
so when I was looking at headsets, I'm talking about like there was one bestseller that's out there. I think it's from Logitech, and it's like $30, right? I'm like, okay, nope, can't get it.
Sold out, backlog.
Sold out, backlog, all of that. You can't get it anywhere. And just the next bestseller and the next best. I'm talking about Best Buy. I'm talking about Target. I'm talking about Amazon. I'm talking everywhere. Especially the name brand ones. I'm talking Plantronics, Logitech, these name brand models. You can't find them. And if you do find them, it's going to be very expensive. I'm talking about the ones that are probably like $100, $150, something like that. You can probably find those. But the ones for people that don't make, a lot of money, that are living just like the most of us are, paycheck to paycheck, you need something that's probably like $30, $40, something like that.
Something affordable.
It's like I said, it's scarce out there. I was like, damn.
I think a lot of it is not. I think most of it's work, but I think a lot of it is too. People who gaming because they got more time.
Yeah. Cause there's some gaming ones out there too. The gaming ones the gaming ones are a little bit more expensive. They're still somewhat reasonable, some of them. But those, usually the gaming ones, are connected with the 3.5 millimeter outlet. They're not USB headphones. And I was looking for a USB headphone. And so those USB headphones those headsets are like nowhere to be found. Actually, I found one, Greenville, I believe it was, right? There was one left at the Best Buy in Greenville. One left it was like, I thought a reasonable price, right? Even though it was a little bit higher. I was like, dang. And there's no option to have it shipped to you or anything like that. It's just the curbside. Yeah,
curbside,
you just have to do curbside delivery or whatever. So I was like, dang, all right. So I was gonna put it in my basket, ready to pay for it. Not there anymore.
That's how quick.
That's how quick it was. Was one left, gone. I was like, damn. I didn't even think about it though. But yeah, a lot of people are working from home, so just like toilet paper, people like, this is what I need. If I'm in the house, this is what I need. Yeah, Mandy Sadowski saying, so most electronics come from China. I imagine restocking is hard.
Restocking is hard for a lot of products. I mean, especially
given that workers aren't in
supply I would say like they, if you're talking about like grocery stores,
are usually
the frozen food section, just straight like blank. Bread, like there's hardly no bread, no matter what grocery store I go into. Milk, so bread, milk, frozen food, toilet paper, paper towels, like shelves completely empty. And there's just other stuff too, like pasta, rice. You can't find brown or white rice in a lot of these stores. You gotta get yellow or some other kind of rice. But yeah, like beans, rice, just all that kind of stuff. Like canned foods, shelves bare. But I think even regular stuff. There's people who are just eating their regular stuff. All that's gone. Stuff that's not like necessarily hot items, stuff that wouldn't necessarily be gone, that stuff is gone too.
Oh yeah.
Because number one, the people who normally get food, take out, and go out to eat, their consumer habits are redirected towards grocery stores. So people who don't normally shop at grocery stores or don't shop as much or don't cook as much are now buying groceries. So not only do the people who normally go to grocery stores are they buying more, it's people who didn't normally shop at grocery stores who are now shopping at grocery stores more because
they're not
getting
on grocery stores.
Most people are relying more on grocery stores because you can't go to places. You only get only go to the drive-through or get it delivered.
And there's no telling when this is gonna end. There's really no telling when this is gonna end because there's still these orders for people to remain in their home. South Carolina actually did not have an order to remain in the home. It wasn't a mandate until today. And the governor finally said no, because there was the curfew that you had to be inside your home by 11.
I saw it. Did you get the alert on your phone?
Yeah, the alert. Yeah.
And it came out, I was like, whoa. I was like, it says only out if it's essential or you have to be. Probably talking about people who are workers or people who have to get food for their family.
Because they're saying that it's spreading in all counties in South Carolina. So now the order comes, stay inside your home if you don't have an essential need.
Yeah.
So, like I said, this is just the reality that we're living in, and I just wish the country as a whole, the leadership in the country, would be doing a better job at making sure that, people would not have to worry about their financial situation. Because that's the last thing you need to worry about in a situation like this. This is not something that anybody created by being lazy, by somebody that didn't want to pull themselves up by their own bootstraps. No, this was a situation that affected everybody, no matter what your income is, no matter what your wealth is. So given that everybody in the country is dealing with it, you should probably make it so that nobody has to worry about their expenses, given that the economy is virtually shut down. I don't see anything about Wisconsin yet.
Oh my gosh, that's
it's crazy. Like how not only are people out there voting, you're forcing poll workers to be there. Then the count has to come. I mean,
that count ain't coming until, or the official count. We may not get it till a couple weeks.
It's ridiculous, man. It's completely stupid. And like you were saying, it's not just the conservatives that apparently do not care about human life, because you were saying, DNC, Joe Biden was, he was saying trust science or, trust the scientists, trust the science.
That seemed like
it's just a cop-out. Just say no, you shouldn't vote. Just like I think it was Rashid saying, it's just was it Rashid or was it Calvin? I think it was Calvin saying it was just an arbitrary date that can be pushed back.
He was preempting.
No reason to
he
do
was
it.
preempting everything he said with trust the science because he was trying to kind of, I would say, brainwash people with that statement so they would ignore how impractical he was being. So if you just say trust the science, he's thinking that anybody who's listening to him will ignore what else he's saying, even though it doesn't make sense, even though he was contradicting himself based on his position with having a convention and then having people vote. So both of those two things, his positions were
different,
very contradictory.
Yeah.
So again, he's just saying trust the science. And Stephanopoulos, you can tell he was being too professional. I know he's in a tough position, but you can tell he was not satisfied. He's like, what does that mean? Well, how does that have to do with this? Like, I need to know your position on this situation. Trust the science. You just got to trust the science. He asked you, should people be voting?
you should provide a pretty clear answer as to if you support voting on Tuesday or not. And you just saying
just
the science. What? Okay, so what are the scientists saying on it?
What is the scientist
That
saying?
should be the follow-up question. What are the scientists saying?
Not just the scientists. What are governors in most states recommending based on the science?
And
so,
that answer is clear. Shut down. Everybody stay home. So even I want, you know what? And I can't specifically say if Wisconsin has a shutdown order.
That's true. That's true.
I can't say that, but I'm sure we could find. I'm sure we could find out.
They did.
They probably do. How ridiculous would it be for Wisconsin to have a shutdown order, but hey, voting, that's an essential need. I mean, luckily, most states are most states that are being tasked to vote after this became a crisis in the United States, I guess. Most states have made the correct decision to not go about the means of in-person voting. But
that was the headline. So it must be
Wisconsin election, voting underway despite stay-at-home order. Stay at home, but come out in large numbers to go vote. I guess the conservatives can say, well, that's an order coming from the governor who's a Democrat. We don't believe the same thing. But then you would be going against the president as well, that on at least a few occasions has said that this is serious and you need to stay home. It's a shit show, man. This is crazy, man.
I would say I think we're seeing. I don't think we fully knew what we were going to get with the Trump presidency, but I don't think we fully understood and knew what we were going to get, from a Democratic Party. I don't think we fully knew, regardless of whether we speculated about how they'd behave in the primaries, how they would kind of arrange a dream team. A dream team would go up against Bernie, or how they would respond to this coronavirus thing. We already didn't trust Republicans, and we didn't trust Trump, and we were just constantly surprised from day to day of how ill-equipped that they are.
Yeah.
But Democrats, as much as we criticize them, they've showed us a lot these past 3 years, man. Like, they've shown how much of a failure their party is, especially with the individual who is supposedly leading the party. Like, how you gonna fight against Trump, but you sign everything. You sign everything, essentially. How you gonna disagree with Trump, call him a menace, and say he's, bad for the country, whatever, but then you co-sign whatever he wants.
You approve of his military budget. You approve of the USMCA.
The Patriot Act.
All right, let's get to some super chat here. All right, going back, Jay Manuel, thank you very much. Jay, Hookup 79, I think we saw that before. That's that's pounds, I believe, right? I believe that's that's foreign. It might be from the UK. Yeah. We got Tanya A. I hate Congress. What the fuck are they on vacation? On vacay, nobody is battling disaster, profiteering even on. Is that people?
Yeah, people.
People for hospitals.
Or Oh no, that's protective something. Protective something. PPE is something protective.
Okay.
Yeah. That's something. I think. I don't know. I can't.
All right. How do we fight Trump enrichment now? Well, I mean, the guy's in office, and this is what you get when you get a businessman in office.
And a weak Democratic Party in office too.
Exactly.
I bet.
His objective is not to represent people. His objective was never to represent people. He is a businessman, and people. I believe a lot of people were fooled in believing that would be a good thing for people. hey, what we need is somebody that I guess see numbers, who has ran successful businesses, even though he has failed so many times before. But we don't want to pay attention to that because we just want to believe everything that he says. I mean, he sold them. I mean, the one thing I have said about Trump consistently is that he knows how to sell himself. Historically, he knows how to sell himself. He markets himself to an extreme, successful way. Doesn't translate all the time into, I guess, success when it comes to his businesses, but just selling himself, oh yeah, he's succeeded many times.
And you're right, they did take a break. I think they went on recess. So after this, I think, inadequate economic relief package, if you want to call it that, they went on recess.
I think they were already on recess. I think they were. Well, I think the House was. I believe.
Okay.
I believe the House was already on recess, and they had to come back to vote on that stimulus package. So now, I mean, I believe Nancy Pelosi has talked about a fourth measure that they want to do. Bernie has talked about that as well. If and when that comes, I don't know. And again, it feels like it's going to be too late anyways, because even this third measure with the money going directly to people, it may come way too late, and it's already signed into law. The whole actually applying for unemployment. I mean, you're gonna. I don't know how many.
The website.
Yes. Many problems.
I know in this state the website has been crashing. I don't know about other states, but
so they can't. So there's so many applicants to apply for unemployment that they can't verify your Social Security number in real time. So you can't even go forward with the application. So people are stuck right now. There's a lot of people that are stuck in the application process.
I would not want to work at an unemployment office right now. They're going. Got another comment from Tanya A.
Yeah, Tanya A. Also, how are you and your families doing? Work, food, toilet paper. I got some online paper today. Felt so special.
What? Well, you felt special? It says paper. Oh, today. Oh, paper. Okay, yeah. I couldn't see it. Like I said, it like from here, because I'm a little bit further away than Will, it looked like it said paper felt so special. I was like, oh, you like the feeling of it? I was like, okay. But no, yeah, I guess you're a winner. If you you are a winner if you can find toilet paper or paper towels, because everywhere it's gone.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm doing all right. We're just staying at the crib, just staying at the house. I was playing basketball a couple days ago, just in the driveway, just playing some basketball. Trying to stay as active as you can. Video games, watching TV, reading the news. It's not like, again, like some people can't stay home and be good. They need to be out and be active. I've never felt that, there, of course, in certain times, of course, I do want to get out and do stuff, but being at home is not a worry for me. I'm chilling.
I know there's a lot of restlessness out there. I see it. People express it on social media. There's a lot, and I get it. And it might depend on like your family situation. It may weigh on people, like other people more so than they're other people. So I don't know. Like if you have like a lot of pets, a lot of kids. That you're normally not cooped up with all the time.
Yeah. I can say that the kids are getting on my nerves more than usual, and that's because they're here more hours out of the day now. But it's not like I, want to throw them out or something. I mean, again, it's like I've said it before, it's like summertime.
You know what?
They're here
something,
all day.
Something I really didn't think about, but, there's a lot of people who are married or people who are, together who didn't spend a lot of time together.
Right, now they are.
They are. You know what I'm saying?
A little interesting.
That could turn out to be really interesting.
And actually what's good for their marriage is to be apart. There's a lot of people that say that.
I was about to say, like, that might be good for some couples. and it might be bad
Real
for
bad.
other couples.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, there are a lot of couples out there that they believe that the distance is what keeps them together. So, no chance of that right now. No chance of that right now.
Now they together all the time, and what used to be me time is we time. I mean, maybe they got their own little separate little places they go in the house to hang out.
Not everybody has a big house, though.
You can't be.
Big
It's
house.
not like a West Wing, East Wing type thing, or somebody everybody got a man cave or a woman cave or whatever.
And then there's those parents that they don't really spend a lot of time with their kids too because they're always working, and maybe they're not the most nurturing,
True that.
And now they all day every day.
There's a lot of like maybe some, I guess what you would consider positive that comes out of this. Like even with I would say music. Have you got a chance to check out some of these little battles?
Nah.
Yeah, man. Some of these little battles. And it's all friendly too.
Yeah.
It's like I guess maybe some of the industry friends and industry associates encouraged them, but there was a battle between Swiss Beats and Timbaland. I watched the whole thing. I watched them go back and forth. Okay. I don't do Instagram, but I saw the replay. I saw the battle of producer-songwriters. And it was Neo and a producer-songwriter named Jonte. I really never heard of him until recently, but he's responsible for like a lot of hits I didn't even know about. Like he was, that song Lady by Tyrese? He wrote that when he was like 15 or 16. He wrote a lot of Mariah Carey songs.
Yeah, I'm familiar with him because he has a few songs out.
He wrote Chris Brown songs, and Neo, he produces and he writes songs, but he features in them. But they went back and forth. They went 20 rounds. Like he played 20, Jonte played 20. He played that. I watched the whole thing. That was about an hour and 30 minutes. So I watched the whole thing. I love that junk because they were playing old stuff and kind of modern stuff. But yeah, that's a good thing that's come out of that. You see, you see some. Musicians and
I've seen the
battling and stuff.
I've seen the NBA players battle on NBA 2K.
Oh yeah,
they got the NBA 2K
tournaments
now.
That's right.
So I've seen a few of those. I'm trying to who said this? Ramona Lawson asked, "Will there be a spike in births in 9 months?"
Oh, you mean like Rona babies?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, Rona time period babies, not actually Rona babies.
You know what I mean. You know what I mean.
But yeah, I mean.
Well, quarantine babies.
Quarantine babies, yeah, you got the time.
Or like, yeah, they're going to call them quarantines.
Yeah, quarantines. There's probably going to be some type of name.
Some type of name, man.
Because there's going to, this is a specific period that will always be notable.
Quarantennials or some dumb shit.
Oh, you was born to, me too.
Got that COVID connection. Man.
Know what your parents was doing. All right, Calvin Darden, great show. Thank you very much for the contribution and the call in, Calvin. Tanya A. again. The Amazon guy, Chris Smalls, that's his name, was the one on the M. Brooks show live, co-terminus with you an hour ago. Watch it. Co-terminus with you. What does that mean?
M. Brooks. I'm assuming that's
Michael Brooks. But I'm doing the code.
Yeah, that dude's sharp, man. I love me some Michael Brooks, man. Love me some Michael Brooks. Like he hits home, man.
Yeah.
Like,
so I guess he was interviewed by Michael Brooks about an hour ago. That's what I'm taking that to mean. All right. And then Ramona Lawson as well. I don't know why they did this because you got to reach up to see this now.
And hopefully it's been...
Yeah, there it is.
Okay.
All right, so Ramona says, our schools in Washington State now closed for the 2019-2020 school year. Headsets are also being used for Zoom meetings. Teachers are scrambling to figure out how to teach young people remotely. Yeah, there's some teachers that are doing that. Not everybody has access to the internet, so not everybody is, able to take advantage of that. I know in elementary school, I don't know if, elementary school usually runs to, I guess, 5th or 6th grade, probably just 5th grade now. I don't know if that's happening with elementary school, but I know it is going on in middle and high schools. And it's a good thing. Like I said, my niece and nephew, their school is already, their school's already been closed for the school year, actually going to the school. But the online learning is continuing. So, I
do wonder how teachers are adjusting to that. Teachers who are not used to teaching that way. Usually teachers are, they're good at adapting.
Yeah,
teachers are real. Most teachers I know, most teachers are real good at adapting.
It's not the same, but there's still a lesson plan, I guess, and they're still conveying it to your students. It's not the same.
I guess it's a different mode.
Yeah. They still are able to ask questions of the students, like if they're not, understanding something, this and that. It'd be a little bit more difficult, the remote learning, I would assume, especially if you do not understand something. Like if it was math, maybe math on site is probably, if it's better to learn on site with somebody physically there with you. And then if you do have questions, are these kids actually asking the questions? How engaged are they?
I do think maybe that could be an issue, possibly, engagement.
Because I know a lot of with this remote learning, I don't know if all of them, but I know that the teacher is visible, but on a lot of these platforms, like the students don't have to be visible. So how
engaged are they?
Engaged are they? Are they just chilling? Like they just put it up and be like, "Yeah, I'm here, blah. Let me go and watch some,
or play some
something." So also, I wonder too how. Because even with my kids, there's like the take home work now, and they have to go through it and they have to write in a different notebook their answers and document this and all that. It's just interesting, like the grading process. It's like they have work that they have to do for gym too. I'm like,
oh yeah, you did tell me that.
You have to do work for gym.
I guess they'd be like, hey, do 20 jumping jacks in place or some shit.
I'm like, you could just write down that you did. I'm like, I'm not gonna allow that to happen. But I'm just saying,
it could happen.
I'm certain that some parents are like,
they just write down you did it. Man.
It's just, man, this is a weird time that we're living in. It's a weird time, man. All right. Lorem said many teachers have noticed a rise in grades as they take tests online.
And then Lisa Catlett says teachers are using apps that they already had and are learning from other teachers that actually do teach online in high school. Like I said, our teachers are good at adapting to shit. So these teachers I know.
Somebody has a potential question, but hasn't gotten to it yet, I guess. Okay, so Rolif Grimm says, "What's your guys' take on the disproportionate impacts of COVID on Black communities throughout the U.S.?" We kind of got into that a little bit earlier. Had a caller, Rashid, that was talking about that, and even before that, we talked about some of these cities. In Milwaukee, Chicago, we talked about in Louisiana as well, that was going through that. It's just a real situation where, I'm sure that there are many different reasons that is happening. I read some articles. One person was postulating that it's because of the close-knit community, close-knit community aspect of Black people.
Or it's just depending on what city. When you're talking about living conditions,
living on top of each other.
Black people guess more so than most other groups, tend to be in like in a small space. A lot of people in a small space, and I mean it makes sense because the poorer you are, like the
less room you
have.
Yeah.
Less room, and
the more people you're going to be around.
More people you're going to be around. You're going to be like in a very congested situation,
right?
And then most likely your financial situation is not going to be good either.
Like any precautions that
any precautions
should be taken.
It's probably going to be hard. It's going to be harder to take those precautions. You know.
Yeah.
We're talking about food deserts. Imagine what kind of other deserts that they have to deal with. Wow. Like the product deserts. So you have poverty. You also have access that is they're being affected by. They don't have access to certain things. And then what Rashid brought up and the perception when black people go to the doctor is going to be different, and how they're treated.
One of our friends, Neely, he's in Texas. He was telling me that he went to Walmart recently and saw an entire family. You know that their order has gone out to wear face coverings, right? He said he saw a whole family wearing diapers on their heads.
Yo, I have seen like a lot of creativity when it comes to people putting things over their face, especially since there is a mask shortage.
I wouldn't have thought of diapers. I would not have thought of diapers. Really wouldn't have thought of
it. I can't really hate on that. I think as soon as you say diapers, like you automatically think it's like there's always something in diapers.
I mean, these are clean diapers.
I know exactly. I know that.
I'm just saying.
I just that when people think of diapers, they think of like things being in the diapers.
Why'd the whole family go though? I'm like, if you have to use a diaper, why'd your whole family go? I'm talking about the kids had diapers on too, on their face. That's just weird. That's kind of strange. It's just kind of strange.
Yeah, man. I saw. I had to save some of these pictures. Those water jugs? Those water jugs?
Yeah.
Yeah. You gotta.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. He cut a hole in it and he put it. It's just like, I can't see whether there's an opening, but he cut the side out of a big water jug, and it's like he's wearing it like as a helmet.
I would think that's hard to breathe too.
Yeah. It's probably like, unless there's like holes in the front. You're gonna have the moisture,
but it wouldn't make sense to put holes in the front.
I know,
because you're trying to protect it. It wouldn't make sense.
So he didn't.
He probably didn't.
Yeah. Trash bag, paper bag.
Paper bags. I'm not sure how effective that is. What am I seeing?
It's a party hat. The cone-shaped party hat.
I couldn't even make out what I was seeing, man.
That's probably why you were like, no. So it looked like she has like a beak. So she's wearing one of those party hats. Like birthday party hats, a cone shape. So yeah, people do what they got to do, man. People doing what they got to do.
I've seen too that there's of course there's black people that are not supportive of this idea of wearing face coverings, and with good reason too, because you know how just being black could, I guess, suggest criminality.
It's like you're in a gang or something.
Yeah. So we're talking about not just like not official face masks. Yeah. I'm talking about like your homemade face coverings. That could suggest the idea that you are about to do something illegal.
Now, I don't know what to make of it, but there was some footage somebody posted to Twitter, and I think The Root did a story. Again, I don't know what to make of it yet because I've only seen the footage from the perspective of the two black males that felt victimized. It's just that there's so many examples out there where there is some sort of hyper knee-jerk reaction from law enforcement when it comes to black males. I'm always inclined to be like, yeah, that's some bullshit. But I don't know what to make of it yet. But yeah, there was a situation in Walmart, I forgot what state and what city, where they were wearing regular masks.
Oh yeah, I saw this.
Regular masks.
Two guys.
Like looked like masks that like a doctor would wear.
Right.
And cop followed them in, and then the cop tried to state that they were in violation of a city ordinance, which it's a city ordinance that most cities do have and do implement. It's,
Can't be masked up.
You may be covering your face,
Right.
but
that is real. Yeah,
that is real.
Mhm.
But not only are they wearing masks to take precautions because it's a pandemic, like hundreds of other people wearing masks in there too.
But not only that, the president of the United States has ordered people to do so.
So
when out in public.
So it's just weird. It was just weird.
But yeah, these were two black guys, so it does.
Like I said, I I'm more inclined to believe there was some bullshit. You know, we don't know everything.
True.
I'll admit that we don't know everything.
You didn't see the beginning.
Yeah. I'm just always inclined to believe it's some bullshit.
All right, Ramona Lawson yet again. HEPA vacuum filters are flying off the shelves in Washington now. They can be used to make masks. Okay.
Okay. That makes sense. And they're filters too.
Yeah.
So.
I'm sure a lot of people are being creative out there because, like you said, going to Walmart and seeing everybody, covering their face, people are treating this with a little bit more seriousness than they were, say, 2-3 weeks ago. Katie Kane said lots of parents rethinking having 4 and 5 kids right now.
A lot of parents seeing what, teachers got to go through.
Yeah, man. 4 and 5 kids, especially if they're school-age kids. School-age kids, that many, in the house at the same time. You just got to do what you got to do. Yeah, but I haven't, again, last time I was actually out was last week. I didn't use a face covering. I don't think they had made that. Yeah, because I think we talked about that Thursday. So I think the White House didn't say something about that till Thursday. And actually, we have to, realize too that before really recently, scientists, doctors, they were saying that covering your face wasn't really necessary. So stop buying up all of these masks and stuff like that, because really what's more important is cleaning your hands, not touching your hands to your face, your eyes, your nose.
Being very careful of what you touch. And when I started thinking about it, I'm like, yeah, that does make sense, because if you're worried about touching things, it's not like if you have on gloves, it's not like the gloves, when you touch whatever you touch, whether it be a table, whether it be a doorknob, whether it be the door to the refrigerated section at a grocery store, it's not like the gloves are repelling germs or repelling viruses.
Right.
You're still putting your hands on everything. So the gloves kind of are not effective if you're trying.
your hands are clean.
Yeah, exactly. But you're still spreading stuff.
Yes.
So
yes.
And how you gonna get that glove off?
Yeah, true.
The first glove is gonna be easy.
Yep. But that second glove. Oh, that's always a problem.
You got to find another. You got to take it off, and then you got to cover that. You got to cover your hand up with something to take the other glove off.
Yeah.
But if you want to effectively avoid germs and avoid any kind of potential contracting the virus, and you want to touch things in a public place, it's probably better to carry around a little spray bottle or a little wipe, and then wipe whatever down you're about to touch, like the door of a frozen fruit section, and open the door. That's probably more effective
all
than a glove.
over it too. All over it.
Yeah.
Make sure you get every part of it.
I got gas, cause I got hand sanitizer in my car. I got disinfectant, the spray, the aerosol, that spray, and I got the wipes, the Clorox, Lysol, this. I did everything to that gas pump. And the screens and the numbers. I did everything. I probably did a lot overkill.
You probably did.
Because I did the spray. It's almost like an aerosol spray, over everything, and I wiped it off with the wipes. I'm talking about everything. The pump, I had to pump everything.
I'm not trying to get it either, man. If I go out, I'm not touching nothing. And what I do touch, I'll be doing the same thing, no doubt, man.
Nah, I'm not. Especially if you're dealing with something like everybody touches,
right?
You know, say it's not just some random table, because unless somebody touches a specific spot on that table, it's not going to be there. But something you have to touch, like the numbers on the keypad, or like the thing that delivers the gas to your car. Like you got to.
And see, I always, even before this, I always kept, some hand sanitizer in the car. And after I got gas, I would always, rub my hand sanitizer on it. But even thinking about that right now, it's like, okay, well, you got to get in the car.
You got to get in the car.
You got to shut the car door.
You
got to touch the bottle. You know what I'm saying? You got to put the bottle back. I mean, this
is why I stopped doing it. I wasn't that fun. I told y'all last show, like my moment of awakening was when that dude coughed.
Man.
And I was like,
wake your ass up.
Like, man, I'm about to speed wherever you going, wherever your destination is. It says, we're 8 minutes away, we're going to get there in 4.
You in close proximity to some
unknown person. And he brought it up too. I was like, I'm already thinking it. And he gonna say, oh, don't worry, I ain't got it. I'm like, you have to say it.
I don't trust you.
I'm like, I don't trust you. It's not like I'm like, okay, I trust your word. And so, but yeah, I was like, because God, they touching everything in the car, on the seat. Then they got to touch the door handle.
Yep.
Like,
all of that.
Nope, not doing it.
All right, well, we're about to get out of here. And we definitely appreciate everybody joining us for tonight's program. Everybody that commented, all of our callers tonight, Eric, Calvin, Rashid, Frez, and Taylor. Sorry we didn't have a lot of time for you to speak tonight, Taylor. We hope that you call again. And everybody that contributed via the Super Chat. All of our patrons on patreon.com. He must have seen something. We appreciate all you patrons out there contributing to us monthly. Know it's definitely a struggle right now for many people. So, given what you do for us, we definitely appreciate that. Something must have just. I don't even want to read it, man. I don't even want to read it.
You see? Now you know.
It's
do you want us to read it?
It's from Alyssa Milano.
Do you want us to read it? Do you want me to read it? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Then do y'all want me to read it?
Go ahead, man. Go ahead. Read it.
You can't tell the difference between Trump supporters and Bernie supporters in my replies right now. Cancel culture doesn't scare me. People have been trying to cancel me since the 80s. Keep showing your true colors. I'll be right here where I've always been, fighting for you.
People have been canceling her since the 80s?
I don't fucking know.
She was a kid in the 80s.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? People are...
Yo, this is Alyssa Milano is the result of smashing 100 Karens together. That's what you get. That's what happens when you smash 100 Karens together. She's a super Karen. She's a Karenzilla. Like for real. Like she is like the final boss of the Karens. If there was like a role-playing game and you had to fight different Karens after every board, she's the final boss.
Yeah, but if they are being, if Bernie supporters or anybody are being abrasive in her comments right now, it's due to her. It's due to her comments and her actions. Given that she tried to sell this idea that Bernie supporters were actually being critical of Joe Biden and not Whoopi Goldberg, you did this to your damn self.
You did this to yourself. Like you can't, like
there should be no pushback when you say some bullshit.
You can't come out your mouth. Like I can't stick my head like out of the door of my front door and if I had a very loud voice that casted like really far and everybody lived in close proximity, I can't just yell out like I don't know, like everybody that drives red cars is full of shit. You just say the most random thing. Yeah. Like everybody that drives green cars. All y'all got, smelly booty holes or some shit. Like something. Just say some random stuff. And I just yell that out. And then I get a response from it. Because every people who heard it be like, wait a second, I got a red car. What are you talking about, man?
Exactly.
My butt don't stink.
You sound stupid.
Yeah, you sound stupid. First of all, it's a dumb thing to say.
It's dumb to say. Not proven, not anything.
You don't know me. You don't know what my butt
Exactly.
smell like. But it's just dumb. So, I got to respect the response from that. If I come out my house and just go yelling dumb shit, I can't be like, oh, I'm being attacked.
And guess who she attacked? She attacked Bernie supporters, and she called them Bernie bros, right? Now, again, the Bernie bros that she was talking about, these people are the ones that were laughing at Whoopi Goldberg and not Jill Biden. So these people, she incorrectly stated that they were attacking Jill Biden, and she called these people Bernie bros. This was not Bernie bro behavior. This was regular human behavior when somebody that always professes how in the know they are, how informed they are, they make a mistake. They didn't know the information. That happens everywhere, and there's always some clowning going around. Man, people have been clowned since the beginning of time. If you have been through high school, clowning went on every 5 minutes. No, every minute, every 30 seconds, every 10 seconds. Clowning happens all the time. So it's on social media right now, and now it's about Bernie bros. Now it's vicious activity. Now it's part of the culture. Now it's about Bernie Sanders that's not calling it out. Because I ain't got no more.
Yeah, I know. I'm not surprised.
I ain't got no more, man.
This
is ridiculous, man. Laughing at Whoopi Goldberg turns into, oh, Bernie Sanders, your supporters are so toxic. It wasn't toxic for somebody like Whoopi Goldberg to have some fake-ass critique on Bernie Sanders and his comments about Fidel Castro, right? Compared to what she said about Obama's comments about Castro. Oh, I remember Alyssa Milano. I don't remember Alyssa Milano saying anything about that.
What's I just don't know. Alyssa Milano wasn't giving Chuck Todd any smoke. Alyssa Milano wasn't giving Chris Matthews any smoke when he compared a Bernie Sanders victory to some sort of government takeover,
socialist takeover
that would involve executions. Right. That seems very toxic to me.
You're right. The smoke was non-existent.
Chuck Todd referred to Bernie's online supporters as online brown shirts. And he's Jewish.
Right. No smoke. No nothing.
What Mimi Rocca said.
Skin crawl.
Yeah, it makes my skin crawl, and I can't tell you why.
Can't tell you why.
And on CNN, when that the lower third, when they said something like, what did it say? Something like, are we gonna be able to get over with Bernie Sanders coronavirus? What was it?
I can't remember now.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
I remember you talking about.
It was like it says something like Bernie Sanders is gonna be hard to get rid of. Is Bernie Sanders hard to get rid of like the coronavirus or something?
Yeah, I can't remember exactly the way it was stated, but I know what you're talking about. Yeah, no smoke from Alyssa Milano. None at all. But when people rightfully laugh at somebody, you got all this smoke for them, even though they're not doing what you said they're doing. She didn't act, you know what? And it's so ridiculous because at least she could have had smoke for people for getting on Whoopi Goldberg. At least she could have made it about that, actually what it was about. But she turned it into something that nobody said anything about, Jill Biden. Nobody said anything about Jill Biden whatsoever. She was just a reference point in the clowning of Whoopi Goldberg. That was it. At least Alyssa Milano could have been like, oh, you're treating Whoopi Goldberg so unfair, Bernie bros. At least it would have made sense for somebody like her to say that. But to make it about Jill Biden, it's like I'm being punked. It's like, this is a show. I don't understand this. Can't tell the difference between Bernie and Trump supporters in the feed right now, huh?
Basically, everybody who disagrees with me is the same.
Yeah. They got criticism for
for me, so everybody who disagrees with me is the same. That's real lazy when you kind of take a position like that. Yep, there it is. I'll show it to y'all too. Maybe I'm pretty sure y'all saw this shit. It says it's a CNN headline. CNN lower. It wasn't a headline, but it's
Lower
Chiron. Like during some commentary, it says, "Can either coronavirus or Bernie Sanders be stopped?"
Yeah. Yeah, I think we showed that on the show.
Yeah, I think we showed that. We showed
that on the show.
Maybe we did. That seems very toxic to me. And these are people who have millions of viewers, who have like influence. They even brought, I think it was MSNBC, they brought on Harvey Weinstein to call Bernie Sanders a sexist. But Bernie bros on Twitter are toxic. Get the fuck out of here.
Anyway, I ain't got no more time for listening on tonight, man.
No, her name is Super Karen.
Super Karen, huh? She's
like a Voltron, like all the Karens. She's like Karen Tron.
Wasn't she saying she was progressive? She did support Bernie in 2016. That's what she said. Anyway, all right. So I hope everybody stays safe out there. Probably wherever you're living, you are under a shutdown order. So, stay shut down.
Stay shut down. Yeah.
It's not safe out there. It's definitely not safe out there. We don't know, when the situation is going to change, but it doesn't look like it's going to, doesn't look like it's going anywhere positive.
For a month at least.
Yeah, for a hot minute, man.
Dang.
Yeah. Let me refresh this. Like I said at the beginning of the show, I think it was like 387,000 U.S. cases. No, I said 384,000 U.S. cases. And let's see what it is now. Hold on, I gotta go back to it. Did I say it? Yeah. Okay. So at the beginning of the show, which was approximately 3 hours ago, I said there was over 383,000 cases. Now, maybe about 15 minutes ago, I checked it and it was like 387,000. And now all of a sudden it's 398,000.
Yo, I had to do it. Wow.
And about just under 12,900 deaths. Now this is wow.
Wow.
Like I said, that line doesn't look like anybody else's line. Spain has taken over number 2 in terms of total cases. They've taken over number 2 from Italy. Italy still leads the way in number of deaths. They have about 17,000 deaths. Spain has about 14,000, and then the U.S. second, just under 13,000, which anybody can suppose that number is still going up at a, at a unfortunately fast rate. So just a week ago, no, not even a week ago, and the total deaths have doubled. Not even a week ago. Total deaths in this country have doubled in not even a week. So where are we going to be next Tuesday?
Mass graves.
Oh, like I said, stay safe out there. We will be back on Thursday. TMS Jones said, "I'm late. Fucking Karen, I agree. So happy she is getting shit." She should get shit. Again, it's a disingenuous attack on Bernie Sanders supporters. That's it. She's got to. I mean, she has to know what she's doing, right? She has to know. There's no way she doesn't know that she created a straw man. There's no way.
No.
There's no way.
No, there is a way. No, I think like people. I think like when we talk about people making fallacious arguments. I was talking to somebody online and he was saying, well, why do we have to give a name? Like, why do we have to like adhere to these argumentative rules? It's like, who made these rules for us to argue against, or like argue, no, not to use. When you use argumentative fallacies like she's using, like, why do we have to follow those rules? I was like, I don't think the rules came first. I think we noticed a particular argument and we gave it a name. I think the arguments came first. We just didn't have a name for them.
No doubt.
And I just think that these bad arguments and bad faith arguments that people do use is a result of them being in denial. So I think it's possible that she is not aware, or people who engage in politics like she does, and you know what I'm saying. Like, I think it's very possible that you don't know, because those are just that's the natural consequence of, number one, being in denial, knowing and being on the wrong side and not being aware of it, having unconditional allegiance to somebody. It's just the natural. It's the logical consequence. Like, you're going to make a bad argument. So.
I mean,
in order to support,
I want this to be simple as can be.
To defend the indefensible, you have to make bad arguments.
But Whoopi Goldberg said something wrong. She got her information wrong, right? She got her information wrong, said some really stupid things on the air, suggested that Joe Biden was an actual medical doctor. She was corrected. People responded on social media, and I guess you can imagine somebody like Sanford, from Sanford and Son, being like, you big dummy. That's what a collection of people said on social media. You big dummy. You're stupid. Alyssa Milano, in turn, said, not that you're treating Whoopi Goldberg unfair. How dare you mock Jill Biden for not having a medical degree? I can't I can't process stupid information like that. I can't process the possibility that she's in denial, that she's actually seeing it as that. Like, I have to process it like she knows what she's doing. I have to.
Well,
because I can't get into that stupid mind. I can't do that.
Okay, now, well, maybe you know how powerful our minds are. I mean,
yes.
We see that. Well, maybe some of us see it. But our minds have the ability to create, like, entire plots.
Right.
Like, when we go to sleep.
You see this when there's
like,
not
but,
really
but I'm
there.
just saying, like, every day we do it when we go to bed.
Right.
Like, our minds generate that shit. Like, like a whole dream scene, like literal dream scene.
A damn movie.
Has a movie. It's a plot. Like, you're in it. And our minds do that. Like, you know, we just do it unconsciously. So I don't think it's just out of the question for us to, like, either instantly or over a short period of time, create these little fantasies and these little narratives to live by, even though they don't make any sense. You know what I'm saying? Because we already do it. Our minds already kind of like, we already have the tools.
So did she
to do it?
Again, like I said, I have a history for not being able to process stupid information. Okay, it's a history with me. So for me, I find it hard to believe she saw the segment. I find it hard to believe she saw the View segment in which Whoopi Goldberg got information wrong. And if Bernie supporters were actually attacking Jill Biden, I wish somebody would screen cap these images, these messages on Twitter. I wish somebody would cap them and actually post them, because I haven't seen anybody say anything about Jill Biden.
No, I haven't. I've heard somebody. I saw some stupid Biden supporters screen cap and share a back and forth between people who were being sarcastic about the term doctor. They were like, I didn't know the difference.
Right.
I didn't know that. I thought all doctors were the same. And people were like, these Biden supporters were treating it like they were being serious.
That's not even assault on Jill Biden, though. It's like, what are you using?
And then people responded, see, that's sexist. They just couldn't fathom. I was like, yo, they were being sarcastic.
Anyway. All right. Well, that's a good way to shut down the show. Anyway, we appreciate everybody coming out tonight. We hope you join us on Thursday, the 7th. No.
Or staying in tonight.
Yeah. We're staying in, right? Thursday the 9th. I don't know if Wisconsin's count going to be in by then. I don't know. I mean, it's ridiculous that we even have to talk about this right now. It's ridiculous that it even happened. Because that's not you were saying before, I mean, democracy is not as few people as can possibly be, like coming out to vote. You do want a large turnout, and this is not how to get it by having 5 polling locations in the state, or the city of Milwaukee. This is not how to get it done, man. So we'll see what happens.
It's not how to do democracy.
No, it's not, man. This country is. Ugh. Anyway, we'll see what happens. We'll have some content for you on Thursday. Everybody take care, and we'll see you then, all right?
Damn, son.